Hi, this is the September video chat with fans. This one may be a little off because I'm a bit low on sleep this time. Not horrendously, but enough. It may affect things. Still kind of recovering from the last video. Okay, I guess announcements. The last game, this one's kind of weird because it's coming out just after the most recent game dungeon. And that one, that one's gotten me rethinking everything. Game Dungeon's on probation now after that happened because I honestly thought I was going to be done like no later than like mid-August on that. And I'm pretty sure I underestimated the amount of time by at least 100 hours, like how much time to make the video. So however long it took plus 100 hours. So since this keeps happening, what I decided to do is just kind of postpone most of my plans and just do Freeman's Mind for the time being and some of the movie, and then slowly figure out what I'm doing with Game Dungeon with more episodes and the other videos I wanted to make. Because ideally, I stopped and thought about it. There's really 7 more non-Freeman's Mind videos I wanted to have before the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen because I just keep underestimating how much time everything takes. Yeah, I realize it's kind of a double-edged sword because conceptually, the last video should have been easy. It's like, oh yeah, I just go through, record footage from the Trackmania tracks and, just edit it together, voice it. This should be, I don't know why. It's like all the little things just add up and then it just ends up taking like day after day and just hours doing it. So Freeman's Mind, I can get out more reliably in a chunk of time than Game Dungeon. So it's, see, the sleep's catching up. So yeah, expect more Freeman's Mind from now till at least the end of the year. I'm not going to do it as fast as possible. I'm just going to keep grinding it out. And then as I'm doing that, I'll slowly take a much more relaxed pace with stuff like Game Dungeon and a couple other videos I wanted to make. And yes, this is a serious Sam shirt, since people are asking in the chat. What? Oh yeah, and regarding questions, since the last video just came out, I'll try to prioritize it. If the last video raised some questions, I can try to cut to those too also. Yeah, I guess it looks like it is possible to run the old versions of Trackmania. I'll have to cover that in a follow-up episode. Although I still think it may have gotten largely sabotaged because if you try to, like with the custom maps, if you try to use any of the old ones on the new Trackmania, on old Trackmania, I don't think they'll work because they all got automatically updated and pulled over to the new Trackmania version. So you can run the base game, it seems like. So that's good. I'm glad they did that. But man, I don't, you're still kind of getting forced down this path. But hey, maybe somebody out there backed up a bunch of custom maps for the old version. I had some, not a lot, but some. But okay, so I'll get to the questions people voted on, and then I figure I'll do the top 12, and people can spam the chat 12 once I've hit the 12th question. And after that, I'll pick and choose which ones, and then I'll go to the live chat questions. So, and yeah, I should keep moving because my brain's gonna drift more than usual. Okay, yeah, let me arrange the windows here. Yeah, I really, I honestly thought the Trackmania one was going to be like a 20-minute episode or something around there, maybe even less. No, because I really wanted to discuss all those points. Oh, they changed the graphics. Oh, hey, this is kind of like the apocalypse. It's like, oh, we can talk some about Valley too. No, it just snowballed. So, okay, there are the questions. Oh yeah, first one's gonna take a little bit to answer. You've mentioned a couple times that you believe the movie is going to blow away every other video you've made. Yes. Did you have did you have a video like that before you started working on the movie? What would you say is the best video you've released so far? And then he has another question. Okay, so the first question, uh, no, is the first answer. I don't think any of my videos like blow away my other stuff. I sort of look at it in, I mean, maybe it's a mistake to say this, but this is how I look at it honestly. I sort of look at my content in tiers. You know, at the bottom will be this right here. You know, just streaming. Uh, and then above that would be kind of, actually, it's probably the most popular. Above that, I would probably put Freeman's Mind next because I'm just sort of filling in dialogue. And then a little bit above that would be Game Dungeon because there's more thought put into that and I can kind of make discoveries and things like that. Then I'd say there's a much bigger gap between that and Civil Protection. However, even for Civil and like the original, I guess below Civil Protection would be like the sort of original videos like the Halo one or Diary of a Zombie, where it's just kind of experimental stuff. And yeah, Civil Protection will probably be like the highest quality and the Stranger Need one that I've done. But I feel like Civil Protection, all of them are compromises, big compromises for what's in my head. So the movie, I won't be compromising pretty much. And I mean, it doesn't mean that, I guess what I mean is I kind of want to have like an original story and like kind of creating this world that you're seeing and then have, you know, have like dialogue or character development, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be a movie, though I like the format of movies. It could even just be a short that's done very well. But so I kind of feel like I'm not living up to my potential for what I think I can do. And that's really my drive behind doing the movie. And I hope to do other stuff too. But however, my most ambitious stuff, my best ideas tend to be the more ambitious, and that can just explode the time involved. So in order to keep getting videos out regularly, I have to dip back into the easier stuff to do. So, mine's drifting. Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess I probably agree for me. Well, actually, they thought the tunnel was the best one, and yeah, I'd say probably the tunnel came out the best. But even then, I could do a lot more, I think. And Stranger Need came out pretty well, but that was sort of these are not, you know, landmark events or something with that. It's just me. It's halfway between what's in my mind versus being beaten down to death by animation to just grind something out. That's kind of the middle ground where those come out. They're saying they like Galaxy Gulp a lot. Galaxy Gulp was much more of a me just kind of, you know, just throwing stuff out there. That was less coordinated, I think. I was just sort of showing off, you know, source filmmaking and that. So, and his other question is, what do you think of protagonists like Duke Nukem and Serious Sam? I'm talking about how they often spout silly one-liners, disses to their enemies. Would you like to see more of this in gaming in general? I think that stuff is just awesome when it's done right. I mean, I think it's the sort of thing where it helps with the timing. Like, I wouldn't overdo it for sort of generic ones. Like if you kill an enemy and they give a one-liner, maybe have like a 1 in 200 or 300 chance of that triggering a line or something like that. Or if it looks at like, let's say you just took out 5 enemies and then you took out another one. The computer recognizes that and it can trigger some like particularly over the top situations. But beyond that, I mean, at the right moment, those could get me breaking out laughing, or just or they can have that like, you know, so stupid it's good level of things. Like when I think of Serious Sam, I always think of, like this giant mid-boss falling and he'd say, like, you may be big, but I'm serious. Like, I feel like that just defines the series, You may be big, but I'm serious. Like, or when you get a new weapon, it's like, now you'll dance to my tune. Or, yeah, reach mini gun for maximum pleasure. Or like, those are great. I mean, my only criticism of Duke Nukem is he stole a bunch of his from, I think mostly from Evil Dead, but also They Live. So yeah, I mean, you got to come up with your own, but I mean, it depends on the tone of your game too. If you're trying to make something a little more, like, yeah, that wouldn't fit in so well with Deus Ex, probably, but if you're just making an over-the-top shooter, oh, absolutely. In fact, I thought that was one of the biggest redeeming factors for Serious Sam 3. 3 may have some of the best like one-liners, because I think a lot of 3 is ugly, like just the visuals of it. I mean, it sort of gets better as you get deeper into it, but man, the one-liners, they didn't miss a beat. If anything, they're better. Like 3 has some of the best writing out of the Serious Sam series. So yeah, if it suits your game, if anything, you maybe should put aside extra time for that, or get somebody who's good at that to write that, because that'll stand out in the player's mind for sure. Yeah, like at 3, the one line that got me, that cracked me up, it was something like, you kill this new mid enemy. It's like this weird floating Medusa-like creature or something, and he's like, oh, is it? It's like, I'm trying to remember the line here. It's like, how do I say? It's like I say, you can be as crazy as you want, but when you try to kill me, I'm gonna stop calling, or something like that. Like he has experience with women trying to kill him, so. Yeah, I think that stuff's great. Yeah. What was it? Shadow Warrior, the remake. Well, I guess the old one too. Had that. So yeah, if it fits, absolutely. Okay, so next question. Have you seen or played any of the new retro shooters? Medieval, Dusk, Iron Fury, etc. Do you have any interest in that genre? It's more like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, I have played some. I played Strafe. I enjoyed that one. I want to say I've played another one, but I forgot what, because, again, I'm low on sleep here. But it's more like I don't really care how, if it's like cutting edge graphics or if it's primitive ones, as long as it's well composed and the game's fun, or I'm interested in the story or good atmosphere. I mean, that's sort of what I was getting at in the Trackmania video. It's like, I didn't really like the look of old Trackmania, but I like the look fine of the old Need for Speed games, because, they had better use of color and how the map's laid out, that sort of thing. And as for some of the new ones, I haven't been super interested in them, because they're trying to really just make a retro game, which I'm fine with, but I need more than that. And plus, it depends like what you're copying too. Like, none of the screenshots, like, I have no problem. Like, okay, mentioning Iron Fury, or I think it used to be Iron Maiden, but then Iron Maiden's record label is threatening to sue them, or so they had to change it. Like, none of the screenshots I saw from that or I think I watched the trailer too, that really jumped out at me. It's more like, oh, it's another one of these like old kind of maze-like FPSs, and just I never really got into that. Although it depends, because like if it was something like Deus Ex knockoff, or actually a game I started playing, and absolutely intend to finish it. Normality. That's kind of like Doom level graphics, but it's this adventure game where it's a slower paced game, so you're kind of exploring the world more, interacting with people, that sort of thing. If that sort of game is a little maze like and dense, that's fine with me because it kind of fits the mood or the theme better for me. Whereas if it's just a shooter where it's just action, running in, shooting things, I kind of don't want mazes. I kind of want the levels to sort of make sense. Like Painkiller is a perfect example of that. That has all these exotic environments, and you can kind of wander off a little bit, but you're not getting really lost in that game. You're kind of moving forward. So, and I think they're going like 100% retro on this, which I'm totally fine with that style, but some things I think have evolved for the better. And the art's, but I mean, in my opinion, some people, gaming hit its peak in the 90s and they want to keep it there. So for me, it's like some stuff was great, some stuff I'd be happy to ditch. So, yeah, a Medieval, that was another one where like the screenshots, like the lighting was like, the lighting was great, but it all sort of struck, I think that one looks sort of like a Heretic clone. And like with those kinds of games, it's like you just have that maze-like structure, or else it gets just real abstract, maybe without much else to it. Like if look at something like Quake, like the maps in Quake. Yes, it's a castle, but then it's all just kind of abstract shapes almost. I mean, and it's not really a unifying theme or anything that feels like, oh, this is like its own little world. No, it just kind of feels like these are levels, and they might work well for online multiplayer. It's just, I don't kind of get this feel of the world from it. And a Medieval sort of was giving me that feeling. Dusk, I may try. That one looked like it was a little more coherent for what I'm after. And, but even then, surreal abstract is okay, but I kind of need more to it. Like, Realms of the Haunting, that had some sort of weird areas, but then it had a lot of story going on, and then you had the normal-ish levels to kind of back it up in between. So I thought that worked a lot better for something like Realms of the Haunting. Let's see, if I can retain my thoughts here. I have one more thing I was going to say on this, but then I think I might have lost it. Jeez. So yeah, well, anyway, I'm not into something. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Heretic was never really my favorite because, again, it's just sort of, it's sort of aimless. Yeah, it's shooting, but that's a maze, get the key, that sort of thing. It's the same sort of Doom model, whereas something like Strife, I love Strife. That has a story, that has context to all your objectives, you can talk to people, so you can kind of explore different areas. So it's same kind of graphics, but just what I like about it's totally different. So, I like the look of Heretic, but I felt like a Medieval is just felt sort of like a modern Heretic. But again, all I've seen from these are trailers. So yeah, I guess the moral to this is I am happy to play a retro style game, but I'm not going to play it because it's retro. So that's it just needs to be have other stuff going for it. And like, hey, if that's a way to get your sort of dream game out and just keep the production value, the production budget and the time involved same levels, sure, do it. I'm still interested, but okay. So yeah, that's enough on that question. I think I covered everything. Let's see. Putin recently called Poland and Romania prostitute countries because of the Amerikansky interceptor defense systems there. He also ordered all of Russia's relevant ministries to respond tit for tat to U.S.'s latest test. Do you have any tips for not dying in a nuclear fire? Asking for a friend. I hadn't heard that till I saw this. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like yeah, trying to thaw out the Cold War, huh? I mean, I'm trying to think of like where to start here. It's I mean, the theme underlying all this is MAD, mutually assured destruction, which which is a kind of existential threat for the human race because one nuke can cause devastating damage. But the thing is, once you're talking about world powers, I mean that's what it was. Is you kind of have peace through a standoff. No, yeah, through mutually assured destruction, knowing that if this country attacks, yeah, if Russia attacks the U.S. or U.S. attacks Russia with a nuke, then they're just going to unleash their whole arsenal, and then they'll unleash theirs, and then that may make the human race extinct through nuclear winter. I'm not sure. Yeah. Feel free to weigh in on that. Like how much will that wipe out humanity? Yes or no? And then, but even if it doesn't, existence is going to be miserable compared to now. But yeah, I mean, he's talking about the tips for not dying in a nuclear fire. Yeah, okay. So if you want to avoid the front lines, and let's see, great comment in the chat. What, me worry? The different kind of mad, though quite applicable here. And also sometimes I dream about cheese. I don't, but it sounds like good dreams to have. I mean, I guess the simplest answer is just don't be anywhere near any sort of nuclear hotspot. So I guess like Chile or Argentina, southern end of there, that'd probably be a good spot to be, just for avoiding initial nuclear blowout. Though you may want to ask a meteorologist because a lot of it depends on wind patterns too. I mean, you'll avoid you'll avoid the blast for sure from there, but the fallout, it's not good. It's not good. So yeah, the Ratchet in the chat has it right. Nukes are bad in capital letters. Walk away from the nukes. Tell the nuke it is a bad nuke. I mean, nobody wins with this stuff. So I would hope with that, Putin is, I would hope he's flexing, as world leader. I would hope for someone who's retained power as long as he has, he's not, either, well, I would think he's not a moron or else suicidal. You don't want either of those in any sort of world leader. So whereas, once you get into politics, you can, it could be he has 0% intention of using a nuke, but he has to, put on hang tough with all this for his political goals or whatever. I don't know. I hope we really don't want a nuclear escalation in any event. Really, we don't even want, now that we've ended World War II, we really don't even want nukes. Pretty much, there's no, I mean, maybe somebody can think of a scenario I haven't thought of, but I cannot think of any scenario where we would want to use nuclear attacks short of something like Independence Day. So, okay, we are being invaded by aliens from outer space. All right, then it's time to toy with breaking the nukes out, or the remake of World or the 60s version of War of the Worlds or something, That's the level, or hey, there's an asteroid, a couple years out and it's headed towards us. Okay, well then maybe we can talk about like arming a nuke to go, detonate it in space and blow it off course. So everything, nobody wins. Nobody wins with nukes. And it basically, we're lucky we have gotten as far as we have without more devastation from it. And it's, yeah, I mean, there's this thing called the doomsday clock, which is like, how it's a symbolism for how close we are to ending the human race. And just having nuclear capacity, nuclear weapon capacity puts us, like right next to midnight pretty much. So, I guess we should keep it up. I have more thoughts about that, but yeah, just, I guess, well, he's asking for tips. They're not dying in a nuclear fire. Well, I guess get leaders that, for countries with nukes, that completely understand the dynamics of it, or a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a better word than moderate, but level-headed when it comes to like international diplomacy, that sort of thing. You don't want a hothead for any country that has nukes. So, all right, should move on. Okay, this person watched the Wolfenstein game dungeon, and it struck me that Wolfenstein New Order fixed pretty much all the issues. Have I had a chance to play it? Yes, I did play it. And yeah, it did fix some. It was quite good. I think my only criticism about the New Order was I think they maybe overcorrected a little bit with taking it too serious. Because I think it's good, like all the brutal parts they show with the Nazis, that should stay in there. But it's like they kind of have all these like dramatic downtime moments. And it's like, okay, but at the same time, remember you're dual wielding like turret mounted machine guns and you're fighting robot dogs. I mean, let's kind of remember where we are here. I mean, yeah, you should don't downplay the Nazis. But at the same time, this is Wolfenstein, where the original boss was Hitler with twin chain guns in a robot suit. So, it's a tricky balance to strike, but it was definitely it was definitely on the money for like where it should be, because yeah, I enjoy. I mean, yeah, they sort of. I mean, because it's already glossed over plenty. Yeah, well, yeah, you have the moon and that. Yeah, the moon base, that's all in line with Wolfenstein stuff. So, don't downplay the Nazis, but don't get too buried in the drama either, because that's not what Wolfenstein is. It's not part of its DNA. And if you try to make it that way, it's just going to be odd. So, are you and Metal Dave still friends? Would you consider getting in touch with them to talk about a game? I have no idea if he played games. Maybe. No, he was only like somebody I knew through work, so I never knew him outside of work, and I don't even remember his last name. So, no, I'm afraid I'm not in touch with him. Do you enjoy making Freeman's Mind? Over time, I've got a sense you don't. I want to know because I would feel kind of guilty about wanting new content from a creator that doesn't want to make it. There's two levels of this question. I guess, so the first level is Freeman's Mind is better, hands down, than every other hell job I've ever had. So, compared to security guard work or getting covered in ticks for the entomology department, or doing tech support on the phones, kitchen steward, so to even hint that I'm not appreciative and grateful to be able to doing something like that would be completely wrong, I will say though, Freeman's Mind is kind of competitive with my best sort of real jobs that I've had in the past. Like, probably my most enjoyable, like normal, well, not real, but real slash normal job. Probably my favorite one would probably be working for like a small computer repair shop, especially at a place that had a more relaxed pace, because the atmosphere of that was pretty good. But at the same time, you guys factor into this because, if I spend all day working at a computer store, yeah, I fix some computer systems, and some people are real happy about it. Some people kind of indifferent. But for Freeman's Mind, I know that a lot of people are appreciating this, so that kind of gives it. I'm glad I have like a trail of things I've done, so that people can enjoy that if they like those videos. So, yeah, that's the first level of it. So, and that's the one to keep in mind. I never lose perspective. I want to say I have like really mild PTSD for some of the jobs I've had in the past, where it's like, no, Ross, if you don't work hard enough, you're gonna have to go back to standing outside the gas station all night doing absolutely nothing and listening to those same god awful songs on loop for the local station, and just thinking about your own mortality every single night. And then, so I never completely lose that when working on the videos. But okay, so the other level of it is, it's kind of what I mentioned earlier, is that again, you guys may disagree. I mean, hey, I'm totally fine if you think, if I've had some people say this, that's nice that you're doing other stuff for us, but Freeman's Mind is all I care about, So if you don't care about the other stuff, that's fine. But for me personally, I don't feel like I'm hitting my potential with Freeman's Mind. I feel like, well, that's what the movie's going to be for. So that's why if I make Freeman's Mind and I make the movie, then I'm in a good state. So, I mean, I'd rather have more kind of complex stories and not something where, Freeman's Mind, it's like, I don't know, I just had this thought, was it the Kurt Vonnegut book? Was it Slaughterhouse-5? I forget the number, Slaughterhouse something. But in that he talks about how these aliens perceive, or they're making a metaphor with how we perceive time. And it's like the metaphor was something like being stuck on like a train track or a coaster track, just with like your head locked in place going forward. And I tend to think of that analogy a little bit with Freeman's Mind, because I can veer off a little bit, but look, Half-Life is laid out. I'm on a train track for how that's going to go. Whereas, if you're writing a story or a skit or an episode or something, then you can take that anywhere you want. So that's the main difference. So, yeah, but no, I don't hate Freeman's Mind. In fact, I'm kind of welcoming it after. If I found that if I do a bunch of Freeman's Mind, I find myself really wanting to do something more original, like Civil Protection or Game Dungeon. Whereas if I do a bunch of that, then I find myself wanting to go back to Freeman's Mind because of just how much extra time the more original stuff takes. So it kind of goes back and forth. So, but like this, if I just had complete financial security and fans were totally fine with me just working on whatever, I would probably work on different videos than Freeman's Mind. But that's not the same as like, oh no, I hate doing this. It's just more like prioritizing, Okay, so I think that explains it pretty well. So somebody's, I think he's talking about I think he's saying, I'm not sure what this is in context to, but, oh, okay, he was wondering how I'd handle the Vortigaunts in Freeman's Mind. Yeah, I mean, I guess you do have some leeway. It actually reminds me of like one of my bosses when I was doing security work, when he was talking about like, at one of the gas stations, he's saying, he was kind of funny. Yeah, it's like, well, you can stand inside, you can stand outside, fake like you're gonna go inside. He's explaining the options of where you can be when you're just there as security. Yeah, as I said, the possibilities are endless. So that's kind of the range for Freeman's mind sometimes. Yeah. Russ, how far would you go to get an old game to run? Do you consider buying ancient PC parts and assembling a computer a valid method, or is it setting up a virtual machine as far as you'll go? No, for me, absolutely not. Like I mentioned this. Go to Accursed Farms Junk, that channel. I had a cameo in one of Lazy Game Reviews. Yeah, and you can also see in that video, you can compare the original clip to his version. You can see why I can be hesitant about using compressors. Because his made my voice sound pretty weird, I thought, but some people didn't notice. But basically, I mean, I don't really have a nostalgia for like the old computer stuff. I mean, I care about, cool stuff that came out during that time. But the big reason I don't want to even go down that route is, and I mean, unless it was like a special exception, is, as time goes on, that stuff becomes only rarer, more expensive, and more likely to break. So, and it takes up more space. So, over a long enough time period, emulation starts becoming your only option, pretty much, for like old games. I mean, we're still in a period, yeah, okay, like what are the oldest video games now, I guess, that the general public had access to? I mean, what, like the Odyssey or Atari? So that would have been like what, late 70s or something? So we're still, it's not completely ancient yet, but it's like I said in that video clip, having to rely on a specific piece of hardware with no alternatives makes me feel trapped. And that actually adds a stress level to me enjoying the game that I don't want. And like I like to know that my game's just gonna last indefinitely. It's like if you read a book, or if you watch a movie, you don't want to even have to think about that, oh, you may not be able to finish this, or you just want to be able to enjoy what was made. And so it was, so I'm always looking for that sort of safety route when I play games. Like, even like, I kept thinking that when I was playing The Crew, that added a stress level to it that I didn't want. I mean, yeah, you can say that's a personal problem, whatever, but I can't turn it off. It's like, I want to feel like that game is not going anywhere. I am playing that game at my own pace, Whereas, yes, The Crew's still up, but look, they could shut it down in 2-3 years, or for what I knew back then, it could have been shut down the year after or something. Because then it adds like a pressure, oh, I have to hurry up and play this. And then I just enjoy the game less. So, but yeah, with older games, it's the same thing. I want to know, no, I can run that game. I am going to go a little more into depth in this in a future video. This is probably the top non-game dungeon, non-Freeman's Mind video I want to get out this year if I can. But I'm just going to take that at my own pace and just keep pushing out Freeman's Mind in the meantime. Oh yeah. Hey, in my usual style of forgetting announcements, like an hour or whatever into the video, what this does mean, though, unfortunately, is I may end up pushing back the follow-up episode even more, because if I find I'm running out of time, I'd rather have a game dungeon out for like Halloween or Christmas, like the holiday themed ones. But if that happens, it happens. We'll see. But I'm having to play triage with game dungeon, unfortunately. But you're gonna get more Freeman's Mind. That's what's gonna come instead. Because Freeman's Mind, I can take it at a comfortable pace and get it out at a reasonable rate if I'm not doing other things. So I'm going to start from there and then see what I have to work with. So yeah, for old games, I am always trying to escape relying on a specific piece of hardware, unless it is like a really weird circumstance. Like the one example I can think of where like, no, the old version is just, I mean, there's small things like, you know, with a CRT, you have less latency and that looks a little different, but I'm fine with, you know, modern IPS monitors. But one thing I think maybe has not been replicated adequately in virtualization is for old, a lot of old DOS games. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. It's this, oh yeah, the MT32, I think was the name of the sound chip. There's some MIDI music that was designed for this kind of rare, more expensive sound hardware, and it sounds so much better than just your crappy regular ad lib. I think it's the MT32. And to the best of my knowledge, that has not been adequately emulated through hardware. So yeah, I'm probably not even equipped with all the extra connections and hookups for even utilizing that. But that's the sort of thing where I would want someone to go in, just record that for all the games that had great music using that. You know, so it's like I'm using that as a means to an end. Yeah, what I care about is getting that great music from it. And that's the only way to really get to the best stuff for some games. So yeah, actually Lazy Game Reviews had a pretty great video on that, where he went and hooked it up. And yeah, they had that for like King's Quest IV. I had no idea it was like that. And the difference is night and day. So what I want is somebody with an MT32 to just go through and record all that stuff. Hopefully a lot of that's been done. So but yeah, I'm always trying to, I don't want to be chained by the hardware. I want, if my computer dies, I want another computer that I can do all the same stuff on, you know, so. Okay, I keep moving on here. I mean, I know a lot of people care about the nostalgia and the retro feel, but no, I care about the content. I want the good games, the good music, the good images, and I see all that other stuff as the means to the end. So let's, you know, if this stuff is being dismissed, okay, I should stop repeating myself. I can do that a lot. This is why I'm better with a script instead of improv. Okay. You said before how you would like to lock a game designer in a room with 2 games to focus on making a better design. What would be the person you would most want to be locked in a room for a year to work on something? Okay, well, my first thought, in all honesty, would be me. Because what that would do is then, I don't have to make Freeman's Mind. I don't have to make Game Dungeon. I can spend this, I'm losing a year of my freedom, but then I'm making the movie. You know what? If I'm just having a year, that's all I have to do. I might even be able to get the movie made and some other stuff I've been really wanting to do. And that would be an excellent, and then, so it would be like a self-imposed prison sentence. But I mean, a year to spend on something that I just wanted to make it happen anyway. Like, this is like a life goal to do that. I could do that. Now, before somebody decides to go like old boy on me and kidnap me, you know, keep in mind, I need a certain level of assets first. If you just throw me in a room, that's not going to cut it. All I'd have at the end of that would just be a bunch of great scripts, probably. But, you know, and even then, you don't really want to lock someone in a room on length. You know, even Supermax prisons, I'm pretty sure they give the prisoner an hour of exercise, you know, and they really should have more than that. So, you know, but, my analogy wasn't as bad because for mine, they're just locked in there until they can come up with a better design, which for some game designers, that can be that same evening, you know. Okay, I had a few hours. I know the grand game design. You know, now you're free, you know. So let's see, but yeah, As for specific people, I don't know. I would probably have to think more about like probably daunting problems to solve, I guess. Well, I guess the big problem I would want to solve is, there's all kinds of good systems you can have, that like for economics, humanity, government, whatever. How do you prevent those from being sabotaged, corrupted, and undermined? And I haven't come up with a good answer to that. So maybe a genius could figure that out. Because, look, if you have a goal, just collectively, there's 1,000 ways to get to it usually. But if you have kind of interlopers coming in and sabotaging that, and that's their goal, if they're quite sophisticated with it, or the system gets chipped away over time, I don't know how you prevent that. So I have some ideas, but maybe that's something someone could figure out. Or it's just innate to humanity, but I can't see that yet. Let's see. Can you recommend any graphic adventure games for those who are relatively new to the genre? By this, I mean ones that are not like the ones you constantly refer to that can completely screw you without notice. Additionally, what are some things one should look for when searching for graphic adventure games? I'm kind of behind on newer ones, so it could have gotten better. It's a tough question because there's lots of great graphic adventure games with the story, the atmosphere, the writing, the sometimes the voice acting and presentation. But man, that has such an awful track record on gameplay, graphic adventure games. Some have broken out. I mean, actually, they mentioned it in the comments. That was a good. In fact, I said this, but I forgot. Legend of Kyrandia is a good old one. You're probably still going to get stuck, but it's much more forgiving than average. Puzzle Agent is always my go-to one. But I can see where, for Puzzle Agent, some people might want something a little more colorful and because a lot of those old games, they're almost like, I was going to say they're almost like living paintings, but no, they actually are paintings for a lot of them. That's how they would do it in the old days. They get artists to do these just fantastic backdrop paintings, and then they would digitize it, and then that would be the game level, the backgrounds and things like that. So for newer ones, I'm not sure which ones are most forgiving. Again, I've got to catch up on a lot of them. As far as gameplay, whereas this is a sane approach. I mean, if you're willing to most games, I'll say this though, most games got away from the you can screw yourself and not know it formula, I want to say even in the mid-90s. But I think King's Quest, all the old Sierra games, don't touch those for newcomers. I want to say by the time this might be better than I thought. I'm not sure, because I think King's Quest 6 might have been the first one where you can't screw yourself, and I checked, and that came out in 92. So maybe it died off sooner than I realized. But I could be wrong. I mean, King's Quest 6, you can still kill yourself, but you don't make the game, I don't think you make the game unbeatable because you didn't pick up a rock hours earlier on the island or something, like that. Somebody's saying I'm wrong. You can totally screw yourself. Okay, I believe him. So yeah, but the industry as a whole kind of got away from that. But it's had much worse success getting away from the complete, the clown moon logic puzzles there, where just nothing makes sense or you have to pixel hunt, or I'm sure some have. And somebody was mentioning the Wadjet Eye. See, I haven't played the Broken Sword ones. So I was recommending that. Yeah, those are ones I do intend to play. The Gemini Rue, Techno Babylon ones. I don't know how those rank up, but those look like the style I want. Actually, I have a copy of it now because it went free to own for a couple days. Kathy Rain looked like it might be all right. I tried, but yeah, okay. For others to start off with, if you're willing to get out a hint guide, I love The Secret of Monkey Island. That one's a great one. That if you want a funny one, I mean, again, I mentioned Puzzle Agent. I think even now, Sam and Max Hit the Road. It's one of the funniest. Let's see. Yeah, you should avoid Sierra ones for starting off. Although even Sierra, I think it's not. It's more like a puzzle game, but it's similar style. The Goblins series were sort of okay, I think, in that regard. But yeah, I would just a ton of people like Grim Fandango. So yeah, generally LucasArts games are going to be safe for you not completely screwing yourself in the game. So if you want old ones, if for newer ones, I'm not as caught up. Avoid The Longest Journey if you don't want to look up hints, because you're going to need hints for that one. I still need to beat it, but they weren't holding back on that. Yeah, well, you can see on my game list, I have a bunch of adventure games I want to get to. So, yeah, browse the adventure section on the game list. That's what I should have said. Okay, let's see. Have you ever watched any of the classic dark web series, specifically Marble Hornets, Everyman Hybrid, and Tribe 12? No, and I've honestly never even heard of those or know what they are. So I guess maybe I could check those out. I mean, some of the questions I get, I at least know or have a clue of what they're talking about. This one, I haven't even heard of it. So let's see. Recall you mentioned you've done a lot of running at night in the past. Any interesting stories that you haven't told from night running? No. Well, okay. I guess probably the most amusing one actually happened here in Poland. I was running around this pond at a nearby park, and it was empty except for me. And this police van came up, and I was thinking, oh, geez. Like I wasn't, apparently I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I didn't know. I thought, oh, shoot, maybe the park's closed at night, and I just don't know this. So I started running from them, and they drove onto the sort of pavement area and just started circling around. They weren't like, it wasn't like a high speed chase or anything, but they were absolutely mirroring my path. So then I run off the pavement towards this dirt road, and then they mirrored that. So then I switched back to the pavement. They did that again. And then I finally, at this point, I'm thinking, oh God, they're gonna stop me. And like, I don't have my ID on me, and they may not speak English. Oh, this is gonna be bad. And then like, yeah, so I'm a immigrant. I'm gonna get arrested for trespassing. Like, so I was in panic mode at that point. So I ended up running off. Fortunately, I knew that area pretty well by that point. So I basically ran off and completely into the night in this dark brush, and so this, and you can sort of follow that road up with a car up until a point, but then it gets thinner and thinner. So I did that and kind of switched back, and then I lost them eventually, and then I just doubled way back around to come home after that. And I found, according to my wife, I didn't need to bother with that. I think it upset her more than it upset me, but I think from their perspective, oh, I'm some guy running in the park at night. I'm suspicious, so better check it out. It probably wasn't more than that, but I don't know. I just, and for some reason, I kept getting this. You know, they were just coming by. They were just sort of mirroring my movements in their police van. So, and for some reason, I was just, I don't know why. This happens all the time with me. Not the police, but the just sort of random thoughts that come into my head. For some reason, I had an image of them just sort of blasting Beastie Boys and just sort of chasing me around. I don't know why, but I felt like that would kind of solidify the mood that they're just, just chilling and just gonna chase down the runners. For other interest, actually, for the most part, running at night's been relatively calm in most places I've been. Probably the worst is when you get just this is more in America, jackass drivers who just want to honk at you as they're coming by. I mean, and I'm not talking about like waving. I'm talking about like, they wait till they're right on you, like passing by, then honk, right behind you. They're just, or they'll throw stuff at you. That's happened. That's only happened during the day where they throw stuff at me. But yeah, America is not very pedestrian friendly. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's. Well, I think I probably mentioned before when I was in Louisiana, it was so hot. Like that's the only time I could run, and even then, that was the first time I had to just completely stop running. Not because I was exhausted, but because I was so hot, I just felt like I was overheating and just had to stop. That's the only time that's happened to me before. And that was at night, like 11 or midnight. And the way I ended up counteracting that was, I would just basically take a cup of water and just dump it over my head before I'd go out running. So I'd just be drenched. And then that kept me cool enough for the duration of the run because it wasn't, I just couldn't hack it, the heat. I'm much better with cold than heat, but Louisiana is not exactly a joke either with how hot it gets. Okay, so yeah, I guess I don't have a lot of I see animals. I would see deer a bunch when I was in Virginia, like it got to the point where pretty much every run I would see one somewhere, but. And it wasn't at night so much, but I would see skunks sometimes, usually in the evening in Virginia. And that would sometimes alter my route. That would make me reconsider if I really wanted to run that direction or not. But I never got hit with the skunks, fortunately. Let's see. Well, actually, I guess another one that it wasn't at night, it was sort of evening. Back when I was in USA, in Virginia, again, I was coming back from Poland for a few months before I returned, but I got hit with, it was this weather event I never knew the name of before. It's basically a storm without water. I think it's something with a D, Derecho or something. Yeah, maybe it's Derecho or something. And that ended up ending my run early because the first was just really windy. It's like, okay, whatever. But then it was making, I'm not sure I'd ever see the trees move that fast in my life because they were just they were flipping around so fast. They looked like they could just get up and start running themselves. And what finally got me to turn around was that just the twigs being knocked off. I mean, I started later seeing big branches come down, but just the twigs being knocked off were just peppering me that it was kind of hurting, so I didn't like that. So that got me to turn around. But it looked pretty cool, actually, witnessing that. But okay, so next question. Looks like I'm not at 12 yet. All right. Have you heard of the petition for Ubisoft to relist Driver San Francisco? It seemed like a game that would be right up your alley based on the previous Game Dungeon episodes. Yeah, I heard several people were reporting that it got delisted. I mean, I'm not sure why. Yeah, somebody's saying go play it right now. That's one I've never been that interested in because actually somebody just gifted me a copy in an email just a couple of days ago, so I guess I'll have to look into it. But the thing that always turned me off from that game is I look at the screenshots and every single one I see has that tinting. Oh yeah, let's make this like dark gray or brown. It's just like, let's make our game ugly. Wouldn't that be great to have like this free roaming racing game and just make it look ugly and kind of depressing? And I'm not saying you can't use like brown or gray because you create a mood with that. Like I'm actually thinking of well, the first game that came to my head was Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. You have these European levels that are kind of like foggy, and there's a lot of gray there, but it looks gorgeous, and it creates this kind of moody feeling to it. But no, this is just I think somebody's for like that kind of like nicotine yellow on the camera lens look to it. It's just, I hate that crap. That just kills the mood of the game for me. So maybe there's an option to turn that off. I hope there is. Probably not. I mean, you can get like reshade filters for that, but those never completely fix it once you do that. I've never come across a tinted game where like some shader settings just completely fix it. It's always just still a little off after that. I have to wonder if people in the games industry, like artists or, art directors, okay, but a bunch of people are saying 12, okay. I have to wonder if that just crushes their morale because, you spent all this time creating this great looking city, or like the parks and all this work on the textures and getting the models right. And then just some director, I don't know where the orders may even come down from the publisher. I don't know. Or the producer or something. Let's just slap this nasty filter on it so it doesn't even look half as good. And we're done. So it's like just God knows how many hours of work go into it just to make it look crappy. And then that affects the entire game. So, I mean, I probably care about this more than the average person. I don't know. Or maybe I just vocalize it more. But for me, that just kills the mood. I mean, it's like, because if it's this big, long game, I want to enjoy the kind of world that I'm in. If you're just making the color and the lighting ugly, it doesn't make me want to play it. In fact, that's like actively makes me want to pursue other games, even if everything else in your game is great. Like, could have great gameplay, writing, or mood, but man, I hate that. So I'm glad we seem to be getting away from that. But yeah, as for delisting, it's like I said in the games as a service. Oh yeah, that's another video I'd like to have, preferably soon, but probably not because there's nothing urgent in it. Would be a follow-up to the first follow-up to the games as a service video, because that's gonna happen. I have some stuff to report, but nothing critical, I guess. But yeah, I'm less concerned about delisted games for the most part, especially if they were on PC, because pirates tend to preserve that. And what I care ultimately is, can you play the game? If there's no legal way to play the game, but you can still play the game, well, I see that as more of the law's problem. That, I mean, it's, because maybe that's something I'll get into a debate with sometime. Explain why you should not be allowed to play games that were for sale that no longer are, with no intention, with no plans to bring them back. Explain why that's good and just. Like, I think you're on loose footing. Okay. I think it's more like an unfortunate technicality. It's collateral damage of copyright law is what it is. I think that's the best way to look at it, because copyright law is already way past what it's supposed to be. I think I heard originally it was just to like the limitation was like something like 14 years or something. So Okay, well, I could go on forever about that, but okay, well, I'll answer this question. Do you have any plans on what you're going to do after the movie is released? Or is it basically your magnum opus, correspondence video that you're not sure you'll ever be able to top? Okay, well, the first part, no, I'm not terribly sure what I'm going to do. I don't want to predict too much because I totally want to make the movie, but I also hate animating. And depending how things go, I may have to animate an awful lot, and I may be pretty tired of it by the time I finish the movie. But if I don't have to animate, I love to keep making stuff. But as far as will nothing else be ever able to top it? No, I wouldn't worry about that. It's more like the movie. I have a lot of ideas. I mean, that's not the problem. It's more like the movie. Again, I explained my tier system earlier. The movie is sort of in the top tier. And I have other ideas that are in top tier stuff. But I think the movie's probably the best. See, another one would be a series idea that I could just kind of keep going on and on and on. I'd rather have like a, beginning, middle, and end, so that works better for a movie. And I could maybe have better movie ideas, or others could help with that. I mean, I enjoy directing. I just, I guess I enjoy directing. However, I don't enjoy having to fill every single role that's normally associated with film production. So yeah, I like comment in the chat there. So Source Filmmaker sucks. It's torture. Yeah, well, no, I'm not using Source Filmmaker for the movie. That's part of the reason the movie has had as many setbacks as it is, because I knew I had to get away from. See, I would have more done in the movie by now. Yeah, it's tortoise in the hare. If I had gone with Source Filmmaker, 100% more would be done on the movie by now. But I may not finish the movie as soon as if I had gone with Unreal or Unity. Because I knew there's going to be more work up front with me moving from engines, which that's the other big focus I'm going to have this month besides Freeman's Mind. Because Game Dungeon's on probation. It sabotaged all my plans last month. So with Freeman's Mind, I know more what to expect. And even when I have setbacks of Freeman's Mind, I'm getting enough Source Engine help now that that even if I run into major bugs, we're able to kind of plow through them, compared to Civil Protection, where boy, it could threaten the entire video when that happened. So it's less of a showstopper. But yeah, no, I'm trying to find. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, okay. Here's a question for the audience, because this isn't going to be a substitute for a movie, but this may kind of. It's kind of building in me more and more to kind of want to make more kind of original stuff. What is, or maybe there isn't a go-to option now. The whole reason I got into machinima was it was a way to kind of make movies without having any real budget. And there are more options than ever now, but one of the other things I liked about machinima was you could take shortcuts. You don't have to come up with everything from scratch. You can use existing models and have some reused animations. What's the go-to option for that now? If you're not trying to make the best looking video you can, or even stuff with a lot of custom assets, you have an idea and you want to have some characters and and be able to have them talk or interact and do some things with props and everything. What's the best software or game or whatever to do that as easily as possible, but still have a wide range of flexibility? Maybe it's something like iClone or something. Whereas I'm not considering this for the movie. I'm just considering this like, hey, maybe in between now and then, I could come up with like a few more original things that I could get out that I would like. So yeah, I'm wondering what software has the best, most flexibility to least work ratio, which maximizes both of those. Least amount of animation work versus most amount of flexibility with what you can do. So feel free to email me on that if you have some suggestions. I mean, maybe it's iClone. I don't know. That might be. But then maybe iClone went kind of more, no, you want a more polished production. You have all these options and everything, more like what I'm doing. See, somebody's saying just Unreal and Unity. No, those aren't answers, guys. Unreal, okay, what does just the Unreal Engine give you? It gives you, no, you can get easier than that. Maybe there's specific plugins for Unity that make it extremely easy for. Pretend you have a 13-year-old who wants to, they don't know, they're not a programmer, they don't know game engines, but they just want to kind of animate some characters and slap something together. What would you suggest to them? Because just Unity and Unreal Engine, no, that's more what I'm going to be doing for the movie. Just with what that includes by default, that's not helpful at all for just simple stuff. But okay, somebody's saying Maya. I don't know. I haven't used Maya. I know Maya certainly gets to the max level of interactability. But okay, so I'll move on. You can either put that in the comments or email me later. That's something I would want to know. But in case anyone's confused, I'm not compromising on the movie. I just might want to get a couple extra things out to satisfy myself a little bit. Ross, have you heard of the game Orwell? If not, would you be interested in trying it? That's one of those, yes, I have heard of it. It's one about mass surveillance in a fictional dystopian country. They're saying, that's one where, I don't know what you call these types of games. I kind of like a little, I mean, it's sort of like a management game, but it's less graphically. You have, it's almost like you're sifting through like a bunch of articles almost, or, and I don't know, I kind of like something a little more engrossing with that than that with the atmosphere, where I'm trying to think of examples like this. There was some virus simulator game like that, where the idea is like 90% of the time, you're just looking at like either, not necessarily a spreadsheet, but like, let's say newspaper clippings or just office organizer kind of thing. And okay, people are arguing about the question. A lot of people are saying Blender, but I don't know. I think you guys might be underestimating when I say like simple. I mean, I'm talking about you have a bunch of pre-made assets good to go. And it's just like, all right, character walk there, done. Character sit down, done. Character talk. Okay, insert your dialogue here. Like that level, Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. Orwell wasn't quite grabbing me on that. If I was like really into that theme, then I might, but I don't know. I'm less worried about, I'm certainly not trying to discount people who are very concerned about surveillance. But for me personally, that's not like my number one theme or big things I'm worried about, or like going to destroy everything kind of problems. I mean, it's dystopian for sure. So again, I'm not dismissing anyone who is really concerned about that. And hey, I felt like that was the strength of Watch Dogs, actually, the game, is that they really kind of like, they drive it home without shoving it down your throat about how pervasive it can be, or so, but yeah, I'd say if you're really into that, well, see, another one on the game list that it might be one of these style of games. I have We the Revolution, because it's like, oh, we have a strategy sim game about the French Revolution. I'm really interested in that time period, so sure. So it kind of depends on the theme, like the more that sort of style you're willing to tolerate. But Orwell looked like it was a little more towards office organizer than game for my taste. Of course, it's still a game, but Okay. And I forgot, I can pick my questions now. All right. Uh, well, I've answered this one a few times, so I'll probably skip it. It's about Poland compared to U.S. Although I'll add something. Because this came up in a conversation I was having with a friend. The first two things I noticed immediately between the United States and Poland, I mean, as soon as you get off the plane, you see it, are on average, everyone's thinner in Poland and the cars are smaller on average. Whereas in US, on average, everyone's bigger and all the cars are bigger. Like just you see that immediately. So like as soon as you like get off the plane or leave the airport, you see that. So okay, but I've mentioned that other thing. If people want me to answer that question again, I'll have to get more votes next time. Okay, well, that's not a bad question. Ross, what do you think on companies constantly trying to perfect their game before releasing it? Examples can be games in development hell or never leaving early access. Do you think it's too easy for devs to leave a game in beta or early access and leave that as an excuse to either not put more effort in development? Look, I don't. I'm hesitant to judge about like what the developers are doing or not doing, because look, making a game is an immense amount of work. I guess just trying to perfect. Here's what I would like to see: if your game is indeed stable and functional, and it has like the main stuff that you want, go ahead and release it. And then after that, just kind of keep adding updates. And hey, that's a way to kind of keep yourself kind of more relevant as far as games media or whatever. Like, oh, you had a big update. Because for some developers, like they're gonna develop it forever. Whereas with other ones, I mean, it's their preference, of course, but like because there's a few scenarios here. One is you have a game that it's done, it's good to go, but it doesn't have every dream feature you want. Well, then I'd rather you didn't call it early access, because for me, early access means people who can't wait can try it out, but you know what? I'm too busy to be a beta tester, so I'm just gonna wait till the thing's done. And that's gonna keep me from playing the game years if you keep calling that early access. But on the other hand, you have things like, so that's one thing. And by the other hand, you don't want to be Star Citizen. I made a joke before, saying, most games try to release the core game first and then add everything afterwards. Whereas Star Citizen is trying to release everything, whereas Star Citizen is trying to release everything first and then have the game afterwards. So, if you're incredibly ambitious, you should just think about what qualifies as a 1.0 release. So it's something. I guess that's the biggest thought I have on it, but I'm happy developers are making neat games, I guess. I'm not too picky about that. I have my own system for how do I approach that. Oh, okay, somebody's misunderstanding. Okay, well, VR question that somebody's misunderstanding what I said. They're saying that one of your main issues with VR is that it makes you motion sick very quick. And then you said one way you would fix this is to push the screen back. No, that's not what I said. I would push the virtual screen back. Actually, I think I am getting better with it, with the motion sickness, but it's just taking a long time. But so what I'm saying is, say I'm doing my 3D cinema thing that I was talking about, where let's say I want to play like Metro 2033 in VR. And it's like in V, I don't get motion sick in VR if I'm stationary. So if I like look around, or or if my movement absolutely matches my, if my real movement matches my character movement, I don't get sick. So there's those things like room scale, or just sitting around looking. But the thing is, most games you want to explore a lot more than just what's in the space immediately surrounding you. So I mean, some try to solve that through teleporting, but that's not as satisfying. So for games that weren't even designed for VR but work well in VR as just sort of a giant 3D cinema screen, well then I can kind of control how far away that virtual screen is from me. Let's see. And as for Valve's Index one, it's certainly one of the top tier ones available right now. Well, okay, top normal, non-wealthy consumer tier. Because I think you can get better than the Valve Index. Like I think although you still have to have some wealth to be getting the Valve Index. But you're not paying like $10,000 for it, or what's the price? Yeah, I think the HoloLens. Well, that's augmented reality. It's like 2,000. I think the XTAL is like better than most of the consumer ones, but it's like $3,000 or something. But yeah. So Valve Index is sort of like at the upper limit of like, what a VR enthusiast who doesn't want to. Who doesn't want to live out on the street would consider buying. No, I'm definitely interested in it, but it's like, I think for the price and for what it is, it's like, if it was cheaper, I'd probably take the plunge. But it's like, there's still several complaints about it. And, it's like buying computer hardware in the late 90s or early 2000s. It's like, man, next year something else is going to be out and it's going to be better in some ways, or 2 years for sure. Because I mean, right now there's the Pimax, was it? I forget the name of it. It's the Pimax 8KZ or something. It's like the true 8K panels. Oh no, not 8K. It's two true 4K panels, and with a wider field of view. That may be better than the Valve Index for what? Picture quality, for field of vision. Okay, it probably won't be better, given the track record, it probably won't be better than build quality or the controllers. Let's see, what... Or refresh rate, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know if not having more than 90 hertz really matters that much. But I haven't been able to test this stuff. I would love to be able to just go to like a convention or something and just try all these out. That would give me a much more informed opinion on it. But I'm definitely interested in it. There's the Valve Index. There's like, yeah, if I was gonna buy one today, like if I have to buy one today, it would be probably the Valve Index, the Pimax 5K, and if I wanted to go like on the cheaper end, the Samsung Odyssey Plus probably be a solid option. And I might not do the HP Reverb because I think I might want more field of vision. So if those are probably the best right now, but again, wait a year, it's going to be a different answer. So let's see. Space. Okay. Okay, what are your... In the big game list, you prefer games with science fiction and fantasy scenarios. What are your favorite 100% reality-based media? Well, in games, I'm not sure, but... Well, in games, it's easy. It's racing, driving games. I mean, because you know what? There's all kinds of scenic places in the world. You can check them out, and that kind of fulfills some of my explorer need. But yeah, for 100% So yeah, for games, that's an easy one. For reality-based media, I mean, well, right now I'm reading a book on just sort of the state of it's sort of it's sort of the state of the economy, like where it's going. So for reality-based stuff, some certain topics interest me more than others. I tend to be interested in stuff in like energy production, economics, the environment, um, some technology stuff. I like trying to figure out like where I think we're going with the world. So it's like the more information you can have in certain areas, the better you can kind of get informed about what are the most likely scenarios and different things. Let's see, some documentary. If a documentary is entertaining, I can watch them. I mean, I enjoyed Super Size Me. That was like, I love it where he's going from like this all vegan diet, and then he has like a Big Mac and he just throws up in the parking lot because he wasn't ready for his stomach wasn't ready for the difference in meat, you know. They're gonna be fun documentaries. Okay, so yeah, let me. I keep forgetting. Okay, so somebody's just saying. Okay, well they're saying, Ross, I watch a video of yours every day. I loves the videos. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I don't have more videos then. I feel, damn it. See, I feel so conflicted about this because it's like I don't want you guys to have to rewatch the same stuff all the time because I have more out, but it's like when I keep wanting to have something like Game Dungeon where I cut more corners, but what keeps happening is I think, well, no, I can make it better. I can make this better by adding this little tidbit and stuff. So I almost need, like, I don't know how realistic this is, but then a lot of people were saying in the chat that, I mean, from like one of the previous video chats, that no, they prefer the quality over quantity stuff. But it's like, I still feel like there's room to operate there, but I'm not going to do this yet. Where what I need to do is like pick a game where it's not one that's like, I feel like, oh, I have to say something about it, but maybe a lot of people do want to hear like me just kind of drone on about it. I write the script, I voice it, and then that's it. I am locked out. And then like somebody else would have to like handle everything else. And maybe if I had something like that and make sure it's like clearly distinguished from something that, because look, it wasn't the script writing or just voicing the lines that took all the time on the Last Trackmania. It was doing all the editing. So whereas, or just like making revisions. I mean, because it was the audio and the video editing, and I had help. I actually had really great help in some areas for the last one. Actually, the last I screwed up some, but that was my fault. You probably noticed some difference in the tone of voice for some of the lines. That's me figuring out something with my recording situation. But what really helped me last, I'll give credit to him, was where normally I do all my takes and then I chop them down and then arrange them to something that's coherent for Game Dungeon. This time I had like a sort of audition test. I still need to get back to some people on that. Where, okay, here's a chunk of me doing like 10 minutes of me doing takes. Like sometimes I do redos or I feel like the line came out wrong or I do 2 different variations of the line. And it's a subjective thing to kind of pick like the best take. And the person helping me, Spencer, he's in the credits. What he did, he went and just chopped. I have a few people help me with that, but I was happiest with his results where he kind of read my mind the best out of the people that I'm submitting stuff towards. It like, yeah, no, I would probably use that take. So I just Trackmania ended up being a mess because I had to add and redo stuff. I ended up cutting some stuff, but that saved me a lot of time, and it still took forever. So maybe in the future I could arrange that with somebody if I like their editing style, where we know that I am not the one editing it. I mean, unless they had just a huge problem with how they handled something, which hopefully wouldn't even be an issue. Whereas I can write the script, voice it, and then bam, I'm back to doing my other work, like Freeman's Mind or the movie or something else. And then every once in a while, you get a game dungeon from me where I went through and edited it myself, so it took longer, but I had more of a style I was trying to show. So that's maybe a way I could just kind of grind out more videos without just completely sacrificing the quality. Because sometimes the choices I make in video editing, they do affect the quality of the video, whereas it might be kind of more forgettable. But it's like I need a cutoff point because my ambition keeps taking over. It's like, no, I got to make this better. Oh, I could be a little bit better, and then that's where I lose all my time. So I don't know. So yeah, if you're interested in something like that, let me know. I don't know how. See, it's hard to tell. I guess I should set up a poll. It's hard to tell how much of the audience just wants something new from me that's like halfway good, whereas other people know, like, no, they want the quality stuff, Ross. Quit screwing around with this other. You make the best stuff. You make it the best you can. So quit taking all these shortcuts. So I don't know what the ratios are for that. I mean, you're gonna get quality from the movie regardless, but everything else is more in a gray zone of where I can kind of take it. So. See, somebody's saying, I guess I could live with halfway good. See, that's probably not the person who wrote this, you know? And so it sounds like they're kind of surrendering already. So I don't know. It's hard for me to figure out. So, because when I do Game Dungeon, I try to, it's like I won't even let myself fall beneath certain quality levels with the presentation. That's not to say I don't take shortcuts or make sacrifices, but it's like some are just too far for me. It's like, no, it's like I'd rather not even put it out. Whereas if I can kind of just be locked off from handling the rest of the editing, then, you know, then maybe that could, or you know, or the person saying, hey Ross, this take was messed up. We need you to redo. Okay, that's fine. Or Ross, what you're saying here is, you're remembering this game, Ross. You're remembering this game incorrectly, Ross. Like what you're saying does not happen. And it's like, oh, okay. Then I should like change the script. So, Ross, have you planned doing any more collab videos with other YouTubers? Are there any videos and other channels you participate in that maybe we are not aware of? Any plans of bringing back Moon Gaming? Well, Moon Gaming, the audience was not thrilled about that, so I decided to kind of back away from that. But I realized Moon Gaming is something where I could fall into the same trap as the Game Dungeon, where I keep wanting to make it better, and then, oh, now it's no longer a quick thing anymore. You know, and then, so if I'm spending all this time on this, well, maybe I should spend it on something better. But for collaboration videos, I hope to have a cameo in the follow-up episode from another YouTuber. It depends on them. I'm open to it, but I'm not. It's the sort of thing where, I mean, if somebody comes to me and I like the idea, sure. But it just sort of depends. It's not something I'm actively seeking out, but. We're back on cheese again in the chat. Okay, let's see. High school is starting tomorrow for me. You have any tips? Man, I'm so glad it's not just high school, it's just in school. I'm not against learning. I just really didn't like school, I don't think. Geez. Tips for high school. I guess just as long as you're maintaining a general GPA and you aren't getting into like serious trouble, like stuff that's going to get you expelled. Um, it doesn't. Don't worry too much about what goes on. you know, and even then with the actually, you know what? Even with the GPA, a buddy of mine, uh, I think he either dropped out or he got kicked out because of too many tardies or just attendance issues. He ended up getting his GED, so you still have options then. So yeah, maybe this is bad advice. I guess the thing you're getting from, I guess, pay attention to the classes that either are interesting to you or that that probably has some practical value. And I wouldn't worry too much about spacing out on the other stuff. Um, the I guess what you do get from high school, though, well, the school in general that I got, is because I'm almost suggesting you can kind of, coast along through high school. And you don't want to do that completely because you want to know you have the capacity to get a lot done or work real hard and stuff. And you can certainly get that in high school or even earlier, really. So it's good to kind of sort of develop that skill. I mean, that's kind of what you're getting for some levels out of school, because I've done all-nighters doing work where I'm just working around the clock on projects. And looking back at it, I'm thinking, wow, that was like just a completely pointless waste of my time. But, it's sort of like the Karate Kid. You got to wax on, wax off. So that's kind of what you're doing to some degree in high school. So even if this project or this report seems completely pointless, it may be completely pointless, but you're developing those skills to really kind of push forward and create something or get real work done. So that, yeah, Karate Kid's a perfect analogy to that. So yeah, that's, I would look at high school like that. So even if the subject matter seems completely pointless to you, and it could be depending on where you're headed in life. And so I think knowing you have, you can learn things, you can do research, you can find the truth of something, you can kind of develop different ways of thinking about stuff. That's kind of what you're doing there, even if the content of it doesn't work for you. But hey, some classes are much more interesting than others too. So yeah, I guess that'd probably be the best general advice. But yeah, and I guess don't worry too much about what you're going to be doing in life while you're in high school, because what I'm doing now wasn't even an option then, and I considered completely unrealistic. Look, the world's going to change, especially if you're in high school now. By the time you're graduated, maybe 4 years, I think we're going to see more and more changes to the world, and they're not necessarily going to be great. So, yeah, don't worry too much about that. Yeah, hey, it's like in Fallout. Acquire skills, but build up your skills. Build up skills that are important to you or you think would be useful to you, and don't worry too much about everything else. Okay. Okay, let's see. Have you seen your wife's appearance in the latest Captain Disillusion video? Well, yeah. I mentioned that on Twitter. She had a Twitter cameo, so you don't see her, but you see her. She had a Twitter question. It was about helicopters, blades spinning, I think. What was her reaction? Oh, she was delighted by it. Yeah, she's. I actually don't know much about Captain Disillusion, but I know that she watched it, and I remember entering it in. I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, that's Beekman!" Like he had the host from Beekman's World on one of his. The presentation wasn't quite my thing, but I could certainly see why. I would call it quality YouTube content, but it's not my thing as much. My stuff is more like what I mentioned last month with internet comment etiquette, and Civi 11. But boy, the internet comment etiquette, some of those, like, I mean, I I can recognize genius when I see it, to sometimes. Like, there was this one part with Knobbleberry, this other character, and what he did, I'm just thinking, God, that skit was so perfect. It's like, I wish I can do something that good. So I hope, I don't even know if the movie will be as a whole as good as parts of what he has in there, but man, it's I can try. So or it's something to aspire to, not that I'm gonna topple him. Yeah, but yeah, but and people are talking about cameos or crossovers in the future. Yeah, I'm open to it, but I don't have anything planned except for the follow-up video. I may try to rope in another YouTuber for it. I'll keep it a surprise as to who. So. Okay, yeah, I'll answer this one. Yeah, I think this person emailed me about this. How about making a small game? I'm a developer. Maybe I can help. Yeah, I haven't replied to this because I considered this like a low priority email. So I thought, okay, I'll answer this later. And unfortunately, that situation's getting bad. Maybe if I'm not doing so much Game Dungeon, I can catch up on more of that this month. Maybe. But I can answer this now since I got some votes. I had trouble thinking about what I would want because all my favorite games, they tend to be like kind of, I call it like full effort games, something where it doesn't have to be, a studio can help, but even if it's a single or a small group, a single person, single developer or a small group thing, I like something where they put a lot of effort into making this game about as good as they can realistically get it. So I was just, I mean, they say they're a developer. I'm not sure if they're just, I would think if they're just saying, hey, would you like me to make a game? I'm assuming this is going to be like a pretty kind of like more basic kind of game because, even basic games that people enjoy, a lot can go into developing like the art assets or music or, voice acting or writing if it's a story-based kind of thing. Whereas, I mean, when I play games, I tend to like really want to get into the experience of it. And like the more simple or quick the game is, the less, the less you're likely to have that sort of thing. And it's more just going to be kind of like a basic, kind of either a quick one-off sort of thing, like you might play at like a real old arcade, or like, Atari level stuff, and I like a little more complexity than that. So I was just having trouble thinking of like, what kind of game would I want that could be like relatively low effort? And I was just kind of drawing a blank. So, okay, somebody's saying it could be like the Bite Jacker game. Well, that's some effort. I mean, you're still, they had all the graphics and the sound and the music. I mean, Bite Jack, I wasn't sure if what kind of effort they were talking about. Yeah, I guess I could maybe go lower, but I'm thinking like the minimum level that, like on Game Dungeon, I wouldn't say this is the absolute minimum, but this is definitely like, yeah, we're clearly in the realm of something I would want to play. Would be like that Uncanny Valley game where, you have a few different locations. It's pixel art, it's text, but even then they had music, they had cutscenes, the art direction was real nice. So that's still a fair amount. That was a group production too. It was a small group, but that's still a fair amount of effort. So I think, okay, I guess for graphics, the lowest I would want to go probably be like kind of Commodore 64 era. I still like colors. So I guess maybe, okay, that's an idea I might have. Something where, okay, this sort of just came to me now. Maybe I'll reply on the email. for the minimum amount of effort versus it still being something I would want to play. I want to say maybe something with like, at least Commodore 64 era graphics with colors, but still basic pixel art. Maybe kind of like a Castlevania 2 clone where you're kind of maybe like wandering like this kind of gothic countryside. And it could just be kind of going from screen to screen even, but you're still getting a sense of exploration to it. It wouldn't even have to have like Castlevania mechanics or anything. Just, I like the idea of wandering that, so you're just kind of progressing forward. It could maybe be more RPG-ish or something. That might work too. I'm just trying to think of like the bare minimum where I still want to play it because hey, I'd love like a big open world racing game, but yeah, you're not just banging that out as a developer, or else it's going to be just completely basic, and you need an extra hook to get me interested. Or like a zombie survival game might be fun, but hey, if we have that, I want a lot of effort into it. I want a lot of different kind of mechanics going on here, or well, not mechanics, but like well maybe mechanics. Something like Project Zomboid, where there's a lot of things to consider, and the game can kind of flow different ways, or that sort of thing. Or if it's, or hey, I mentioned earlier, like a dream game would be, or hey, I wouldn't mind, I'd love to see something that's like a spiritual successor to Red Faction Guerrilla, where you're on this sci-fi world going around like toppling kind of a freedom fighter. But man, that's not an easy game to create. That's so, that takes a real production behind it. And that getting back to what I mentioned earlier, people are talking about retro games. See, this is where I really like the retro aspect of it, where let's say somebody does want to make like a sci-fi kind of base conquering game, and then they give it like a storyline and stuff like that. Well, you know what? They're not gonna have like state-of-the-art graphics if they're like an indie developer. But hey, I bet we can maybe get like Quake graphics or something like Unreal. Yeah, like Quake or Quake 2 level graphics, or maybe even heck, if it's good enough, even go for like that kind of build engine level graphics, and that might be much more attainable goal for them. Whereas, and they can focus more on the gameplay and the story and a little bit more on the atmosphere, and they don't have to move heaven and earth making all these first-rate assets. So that's where I really like retro stuff. It's when they have a great concept and the retro element is a means to an end, So, okay, it should keep moving on. So yeah, I'll keep thinking about that. Maybe other people have. So yeah, that's my best answer for now. Something where I'm wandering the countryside, and there might be monsters out there, and the graphics are at least worthy of a Commodore 64. So, it could be an RPG thing or story. Yeah, because I like exploration. I feel like that's my bare. I feel like that can maybe get like a minimum where I'm still interested in it. I'll answer. Okay, I'll get to live questions soon. Well, maybe. Jeez, a lot of questions. Okay. Someone's asking, what's my favorite Civil Protection episode? I don't know. I like some of them both in different ways. I mean, I think my favorite ending is Halloween Safety. I mean, I like how the tunnel came out. I like how a lot of on a rail went. Yeah, I don't know if I have an easy favorite. Okay, let's see. I recommend Morning Patrol as like the best one for newcomers. I feel like it's like the best rounded one. So. Two of the most notorious genres in fiction that enable escapism are science fiction and fantasy. Taking that into account, which one of these two do you generally enjoy more for that purpose? Feel free to consider any subcategories as science fantasy, urban fantasy, contemporary science fiction, or Lovecraftian horror, among others. I guess I like science. I don't have a strong uh, leaning towards like fiction, science fiction or fantasy so much. Well, okay, I think I definitely lean more towards science fiction, but I don't have a strong distinguish. I don't have a strong leaning between science fiction or science fantasy. I like both of those pretty equally. Actually, I might even like science fantasy a little more. Uh, I probably lean more towards science fiction more so than like kind of, you know, Tolkien style fantasy, despite the movie going to be that, but that's because it's more the theme of the movie, the plot fits that setting better. That's why I'm doing it. It's not like I'm dying to make a medieval fantasy thing. It's more like the story comes first, and that works best for that setting. But yeah, I guess I lean more time towards science something. So science fantasy, science fiction. Okay, I'm gonna start skipping some questions. Let's see. After you completed the games list, will you consider make a music or movie list as well? Well, it certainly won't be to the same degree as the game list, but I can maybe just have like a dump of movies would be trickier because I'd have to remember everything I've seen. But maybe I could start doing that. See, the thing is, there's got to be tools for it that are easy, and I have to have faith that let's say it's like an online website for it. I have to have faith that either that website is not going to go down because it's just a juggernaut behind it, or you can export all your data at any time to like a spreadsheet or something. So, but. Ross, what would you say was the most influential single coincidence in your life? Boy, making Freeman, me monkeying with the Source SDK, that has changed. Boy, I mean, you look at timelines, that had a tremendous impact on my life. I mean, I don't know if that's really what he means by a coincidence, because the coincidence is that YouTube was emerging, and there were also these. Yeah, well, I guess that was the main coincidence. YouTube was emerging, and it was an interest in game videos, that sort of thing, and this app, and Half-Life 2. It was really a right place, right time kind of thing. But man. Because I'm trying to think if there's. Well, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one. So, okay, I'm getting close to 2 hours. I better start wrapping this up. Okay, there's always mentioning stuff that will get mentioned in a follow-up. Well, okay, I'll mention it now. There's talking about Captain Zap was spelled differently on the cover. Any reason I didn't point this out, I did not notice it consciously. I remember thinking something seemed wrong, but I never connected the dots when I was making the video. So. Ross, a new coworker of mine looks and sounds eerily similar to Granny from Armed and Delirious. What do I do? Keep her away from firearms. Okay, let's see. Are you going to try playing something like WildStar again after the emulator releases? Yeah, although that's one I might wait to see if I can. I'm not. WildStar was never really my thing as far as the gameplay or like a game I was dying to play, but it's more like I was impressed the most by the world of it. So it's the sort of thing I kind of want to take like a virtual tour of. So that might be one I might wait until I can see if we can get it running in VR, with Vorpex or another wrapper or something like that. So yeah, I would want to run around in it. But But I was never, a lot of MMOs are like that with me, where I'm just thinking, it's not really something I want to play, but man, this world looks awesome. I want to see that. So there, a lot of MMOs are like that. In fact, okay, well, I should keep going. Let's see. Okay, this is a good question. There's an enterprise version of Windows 10 called the long LTSC, yeah, the long-term service. I don't know what the C is. I usually think of branch. It's very bare bones experience that has virtually none of the bloat that Windows 10 is known for, or that god-awful calculator app. It provides the easiest, best out-of-box experience compared to any standard consumer version. In situations like these where the product is unavailable to normal consumers or is otherwise extremely hard and expensive to obtain, do you think piracy is justifiable? Well, one, I have heard that you may actually have more problems depending on what you're doing because it doesn't get updates as frequently, and some software can rely on those. I don't know. Like, for instance, I don't know if you can run VR on those. If anyone does, let me know. I'm curious. Can you run like modern stuff that requires Windows 10? Can you run VR devices on it? Like, let's say Windows mixed reality or Oculus or but to answer your question, yes, but buy a normal copy. If you just want to be completely clear, so what I mean is buy the consumer copy and then pirate the enterprise version or whatever that you have to have. Because again, make the argument that what you're doing is wrong then. Or let's say buy Pro copy. Buy Windows Pro. And I'm not talking for like a business where you need to be up to stamp. I'm talking like personal use. Buy the professional version of Windows 10, like if you have a legit license, and then you pirate the long-term service branch version. And you're not seeking support from them for it. You're going in on your own. Someone try to make the argument that doing that is wrong, because like I'm not seeing it. I mean, yeah, it's probably not legal, but I'm not. It's one thing where like what is right and wrong can kind of conflict with the law. A whole lot of things that doesn't happen with the law, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't kill people. Yeah, hey, what do you know? There's like a really great correlation between what's right and wrong and what the law says you should or shouldn't do. But especially once you get into copyright law, we start losing that correlation, So yeah, I mean, you can argue that you're getting access to features that you can't even buy as a normal individual anyway. It's like yeah, so that would be my answer for it. Okay. Do you have any thoughts on Darkest Dungeon? That looks exactly like the sort of game I would play if it wasn't turn-based combat, and I really don't like turn-based combat, so. Okay, well, this only got 1 point, but it's apparently a lot of people are asking about it. Can you tell us why you thought Hollow Knight's music was a mismatch? Yeah, Hollow Knight, the game, like if you just if you play that game with no music, what we're getting is sort of kind of a sort of like a kid's version of like an eldritch horror kind of thing going on there. Parts of it feel kind of intense and dark and sinister, and even though it's all kind of cartoonish, and like we're really getting into this kind of alien world, and like that's kind of the vibe I was getting out of all of it. But it's like toned down some because of the cartoon look to everything. But I mean, it has some of that. Like it's either strange and exotic, and even then, any game where you're going like deeper and deeper underground and there's this whole world there, it feels kind of alien and out there. And then you hear the music, And my thought is like, this feels like it's for like, I don't know. I would compare it to something like kind of like a more mainstream kind of anime movie, fantasy adventure, like Princess Mononoke soundtrack or something, or like the Spirited Away kind of thing. It's like a more kind of lighter, neutral tone, and this. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining it, but it has like I want to say it kind of has like Japanese symphony elements in there that I expect from an anime, and it seemed like the wrong sort of game to me. I mean, it seemed like the wrong sort of music for that kind of game. Like, okay, I haven't played the game at all. All I've seen is just like a trailer and some screenshots. But if you look at the art style of the game Owl Boy, yeah, it would fit something like that a lot better. That's a brighter game, more kind of general audience kind of people thing. And I just wasn't seeing that. There's Hollow Knight has a darker tone to it. Like it just has a darker tone, and it's not capturing that mysterious feeling to me of being in this kind of alien world or otherworldly, or the sinister feeling of some of the different areas. It's not bad. It's just I didn't think it worked, but I'm obviously in the minority there. So yeah, hopefully that clears it up for you. Okay, let's see. Well, this is interesting. Okay, I'm going to read this little question. I find this kind of fascinating. Ross, I've recently noticed I take down a lot of physical notes when playing games. To clarify, I have a pile of index cards with notes from games on them. Has this ever happened to you? And if so, to what extent? I still have a notebook that's partially filled out as a trade ledger for Mountain Blade Warband. Okay, I misread that. I thought he had like a book full of. At first, at glance, I thought he had a book full of notes on Mountain Blade Warband. It's like, wow, okay. um, for puzzle games, sometimes I need to bust out a pen and paper if I want to solve the puzzle. I do that when I'm doing game dungeon. Yes, in fact, here I might even. Let's see. Do I have? Let's see, a scrap piece of paper. Maybe we can hold it up. Yeah, here we go. We can see my notes on the last for Trackmania. I have. Let's see. Yeah, final. Yeah, farmland. Find foray. I needed to find that sign where it says foray and forest in French. Yeah, C12 is the name of the map I was using. I was scratching some off. Let's see. You can see that. Oh yeah, that's right. I have autofocus on now, so if I got blurry during this, sorry. Yeah, that's shots for Half-Life. I have more of these. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it all over here. So yeah, I'm doing shot notes. Yeah, logos. Yeah, the N after that was for the new version as opposed to the old Trackmania. I wanted C8. Yeah. So let's see, map editor. Yeah, Prodigy. Yeah, I needed a shot that made the browsing the game kind of look like old Prodigy browsing. So, oh yeah, somebody's saying they can't hear me. Sorry, I was blocking the mic. Oh wait, why wouldn't they be able to hear me? Oh man, am I using the wrong mic? Oh, has the voice quality been worse this time around? Let's see. No, I'm using the right mic. Okay, maybe this person's just messing with me. Oh, okay. Oh, geez. Okay. Okay. I was in front of the mic. Yeah, the mic's right here. So I was moving my head in front of it. Yeah, so that's what I was. So it wasn't catching that. So I don't know. You might have heard it faintly. Okay, I thought I was using the webcam mic. I was like, oh man, that's a tragedy. Okay. Okay, I should. But yeah, otherwise, no, I don't usually take notes. But this had a good question. What's your opinion on graphics quality versus game depth? Would you ever play a game that looked like burnt mozzarella if you knew it had the most engaging plot of any game ever? Would you play a real life graphics game to see what kind of cool vistas the devs put in, even if the rest made no sense whatsoever? And I mean, Robo Death Tractors stole your neighbor's baby, so now you have to invade Narnia kind of nonsense. I have a limit. So yeah, like I have to at least like what I'm seeing on the screen for a game. I'm not really a purist as far as gameplay, actually. However, that said, I'm willing to accept Commodore 64 graphics, so that's not a huge hurdle to get over. But it's much more about atmosphere, like what kind of colors are you using or what kind of lighting do you have, that sort of thing. So, but if we're just talking like raw ASCII figures, characters, ASCII graphics, or you might be able to win me over on ASCII graphics. Anything less, no. I want more than that. Sorry. It might be considered to be more shallow, but I have to like the atmosphere of the game. And yeah, as for games with great graphics, I do that sometimes with games where even if I'm not interested in the game, if I'm interested in the world, yeah, I might want to just kind of have a quick tour of it, especially in VR, if I can get it working. Whereas that's part of why games as a service obsess me so much. Even these games that people say are awful, well, hey, the game world might be nice, you know? So. Okay, we're getting in the... I'm gonna have to skip more questions this time, sorry. Let's see. I have played Fallout 3 in New Vegas. It's sort of the same. Well, I've mentioned that before. Okay. I'll say it's this, even though New Vegas isn't Bethesda, it's the same thing for me with every Bethesda game, and this gives me the feeling that they seem incredible at first, and then they just start feeling hollow for me, and I start losing my interest. Okay, somebody's linking to another video. I'll have to check that out another time. Let's see. Oh, okay. I better answer this one. Ross, recently I've gotten to a gaming rut. It's hard to describe the feeling when I play most games, but I'm gonna go with hollow. What should I do? I just find most games nowadays to be iterative crap. Recently, Control was released. In my opinion, it's their best game after Max Payne 1, but other than that, games just don't interest me anymore. Man, what do I do? Well, okay, well, first, start off on the game list. That's exactly why I made my game list. Now, hey, my picks aren't necessarily going to be your picks either. See, what that game list does is it gives you better odds of finding something that's not, iterative crap, as you put it. So you're gonna have to look more towards smaller games, I think. I can't endure. I guess what you might want to do is look at the game list. Maybe this will get better in time. We can implement it. Click on the ones that maybe have like you're kind of intrigued by what you're seeing, and then see that have like the mostly positive rating. That's why I put all the screenshots. See which of those screenshots appeal to you, and then click on the link, and then like maybe watch the trailer or see what people are saying about it. And if maybe you still get kind of intrigued by it. So no, I know what you mean. I mean, avoid Ubisoft games. A lot of them, like Ubisoft, I feel like they make a lot of games that are technically quite competent and done well, but man, they give you that hollow feeling. But I'm sure they're not the only company that does this. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to get away from AAA stuff for a while, because yeah, check out the game list, or if you're not sure what I'm talking about, check out the game list video. That's what you're describing is exactly why I made that video, man. That's exactly it. So I hope to at least get you in the right direction there. You know, because I mean, you're gonna have different taste. Obviously, everybody will. But oh yeah, another announcement. Over 2 hours into the video, the I'm gonna I'm gonna see. Do people want me to start adding my almost on the list games? So stuff like in the video, you know, I had like The Messenger or Night in the Woods. That would make the almost on the list. And I'll have to talk to the web developer, see if we can do it. But maybe what it could be is like in the search bar, this could be like a checkbox. And if you check that, then those are included. Otherwise, they're omitted by default. Everybody's saying yes. Okay. What I'm not sure we can do without it creating more problems than it would solve would be to have a separate list for just the almost games. I mean, maybe we can do it, but I'm thinking people may not care about that. See, me, I'm gonna want the almost list filtered. But for stuff I'm thinking, yeah, this looks pretty good, but I'm probably not gonna play it. Actually, I might move over some of the games on the list that are like turn-based to that. So, yeah. So, yeah, somebody's saying that should be opt-in. Sure. Okay, so if we can do that, I'll start. Now, the problem is I don't have nearly as big a list for the almost games because I just sort of, I pass by them. But like I can say like right now, like one that would for 100% be on there. What was it? Battletech? Yeah, like that was turn-based strategy, deals with mechs fighting each other and a strong storyline with dynasties involved or something like that. That's exactly the sort of thing I would play if it wasn't turn-based. But even then, some games were, well, I mentioned Owlboy. I wasn't like, I don't know. Might not be quite my style, but sure, that absolutely makes the almost list. Or maybe I can think of a better name for it or something. Yeah, somebody's mentioning Darkest Dungeon. That would make the almost list. So you'll see a lot more turn-based games there. You'll see a lot more games that are just kind of maybe a little more emotional, like Celeste. That was a game. Yeah, actually, that's free to own right now in Epic Store. I know a lot of people hate Epic Store, but you know what? As of right now, I have bought nothing from the Epic Store except a plugin for Unreal for the movie. I've literally bought no game on the Epic Store, but I have like a dozen games on there now because they keep throwing free ones. So even if you hate them, I don't know if you can really hate someone who's just grabbing free games off of there. So, you know, but yeah, free game stores, shovel them away from the chat. Yeah. Oh yeah, somebody's asking a filter for games that I made a recommendation on. We were originally going to have that, but so few were like that. And at launch, that just didn't seem worth it. Maybe later we can add that back in once I've kind of rated more. But yeah, okay. So, man, see, these were good questions towards the bottom. This happens like every time. All right, and oh yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna skip some of these. Oh yeah, where do you get the? Well, that's a good question. Where do you get the graphics for the awards in the Game Dungeon episodes? That's what the credits are for, guys. Like, I typically, actually, this can be a real holdup sometimes. Like, because as long as there've been a few times the whole episode's done, except I don't have the awards art. That's kind of actually made me not want to even have them for sometimes. But that seems to be pretty popular for the people who like Game Dungeon. Most of the time, I ask artists for help, and like I give them like a rough description or a really sloppy drawing of what I'm thinking of for it, and then they put it together. There've been a few times I was just trying to rush the video out. I didn't even have that help. So what I did was I took sort of just clip art I found online or scenes from, I think maybe for Quadralian I did that. I took a picture of Deep Thought from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something for one of the episodes, whereas I don't have the artistic skill, or well, I do have some artistic skill if I'm looking at something. For my imagination, forget it. It's pretty bad. It's like middle schooler level. Or the time to make something decent. So I just kind of had to throw something in there the best I can and just Photoshop it in there. But yeah, yeah, artists make it. So yeah, what about tool chains and such with the movie? Oh man, the movie's going to be on a different level for what people are helping with. So I like it when people answer the questions that are being asked. Because somebody's asking, have I heard of Tacoma? And they link to the list, and Tacoma's on there. So, okay, well, we're getting towards the 1 point questions here. Sorry, I'm skipping. Some of these are okay questions, but they just didn't get enough votes, and we're running out of time here. Let's see. I'll answer that. Do you rewatch your older videos? Almost never. Sorry. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird because I really want to make it good and I really want to have good thing, but I don't know. I don't like watching and listening to myself. Oh no, actually I got mentioned before. I will it's two different things. For Game Dungeon and Freeman's Mind, I don't like hearing myself so much. For Civil Protection, it's different. I do like that. However, I have spent so much time making those that it's just burning in my head, and I'm not getting. So you guys are getting the best experience from this. For that, I'm sure it's the same thing for most people who create videos and art stuff. You know, the audience is kind of getting the better experience than the people actually making it. Depending on unless it's unusually fun and requires less work than the people making the video. But like I could see if you were making an actual live action movie, it could be as fun or more fun for the actors or people on the crew. Like if you're going to an exotic location to film it, so. And things happen on set that are interesting. That could be different, but for this, it's just grinding away in the editor. You know, that's okay. Sorry, I just gotta keep going here. Oh, okay. I'll bring this up because I almost included this in the Trackmania one, but it was getting so long. Russ, you were essentially taking it in Trackmania. You're essentially taking a dump on speedrunners. Being a speedrunner myself, I think you need to reconsider your assessment of what we do isn't skill. No, I wasn't saying. Where did I say it does not take skill to do what a speedrunner does? I was not implying that. I'm trying to warn. It's more like, man, I cut this from the video because I thought, oh, it's getting too long. It's not as funny. Basically, what I was gonna say is, for everyone who doesn't have obsessive compulsive disorder, run from that, because what I'm saying is, I think most people should play a game to enjoy themselves and get something out of it. So if you sincerely enjoy doing that, like, yeah, hey, I pointed out that guy in the video. That guy, man, you for me, I couldn't even parody that. Like it's just like, yeah, for me, there is nothing sweeter than playing the same level for hundreds of hours trying to get 1 second faster. If that's fun, that is nothing sweeter for him. His brain's wired differently than mine. I guess the point is, for some, I'm trying to warn off are the people, if that's not a sweet experience for you, then don't do it. Be aware of what the game is asking you to do. Like these people who like try to get like 100% completion in games, but they don't really enjoy it. They just feel like they have to. I was trying to like encourage people, no, don't do that, because if you're doing the exact same thing, okay, yeah, okay, you're right. I guess the wording was bad. I said learning an actual skill. I guess what I mean is, yes, that takes skill to do that, what they do, but that skill has just no applicability outside of that single game. You know, because again, you could be playing, actually even, I was even gonna bring this up, but again, the video is getting so long that I have to choose what to cut. Some games have like a real high learning curve. That's a little different because, yeah, you may need to spend like a couple hours really learning every aspect of that game. But then once you know that, you can play that game. You might have like 100 hours or more playing through this big campaign or different scenarios. So it's sort of like, whereas this, it's just asking you to do the exact same thing over and over again. For me, that is not fun. If I'm doing the exact same thing over and over again, have some real purpose. Like, that's what I want. Like, you know, again, I mentioned the wax on, wax off. You know, you gotta, because after that, you know, karate. Hey, you're getting exercise. You could compete in tournaments. I mean, I guess you could, you know, self-defense. Whereas if you're doing that for just one game, then that only skill is applicable to that one game. I mean, yeah, I guess there are tournaments and records for that. If you really enjoy that process, by all means, go for it. I wasn't trying to, but I'm saying play games to enjoy yourself. Don't make the misery. And I feel like, I feel like a lot of gamers get kind of suckered into this. Like, oh, they really don't enjoy this part of the game, but they want that unlockable or something, or they have to grind for this to get this item. And it's like, no, wake up. That's what you should wake up from. That's what I'm trying to, and that does that to me. Like, if I see that, I'm thinking, you know what? This unlockable is not worth it. And it makes me question the whole game. Should I even be playing the rest of this game? Thankfully, Trackmania, you can take it any way you want. So, so I apologize if it was implied that I was saying speedrunners. Yeah, I realize now my wording was bad on that. I apologize to speedrunners who truly enjoy it, you know, because I do not have obsessive compulsive disorder. If I did, I'd probably have many more videos out, actually. But fully animated too. Yeah, so I wanted to warn off all gamers who don't enjoy that, because there can be value with doing the exact same thing over and over again, but the real value of doing that for like one specific game is incredibly limited. Whereas again, just playing an instrument, well, now you can play songs. You know, it's like, hey, you can do this at parties, meet people, you know, or earn money in a band, or just make an album, make music. You know, it branches off so many different ways for just what I should have said, like real world skills. That probably would have been the better thing. And even if it's just something fun, you know, it's, I don't know. Well, it's incredibly narrow, the skills you get for doing that for one game. So. Yeah, maybe I'll mention that in the follow-up now, since it looks like I should have left that line in. But you know, when I make these, you know, whenever I cut stuff, it seems like there's always somebody out there that's like, I should have left that in there for that person. But I kind of have to go with my intuition on what I should cut or leave. So yeah, okay. So I'll take questions from the chat now. If you have a question, put 3 equal signs in front of your question. Uh, but yeah, no. Apparently, that guy really enjoyed the. It was a Carl Jobst or something like that. I mean, I saw that. I could have said that better myself. It's like there is nothing sweeter than doing that. Because yeah, even if you love one game, like one. Hey, let's say you love Doom, right? Right? You just can't get enough of Doom. Well, in that time that that guy was practicing that one level 50,000 times, you know how many levels and mods and total conversions of Doom you could have been playing? You could have been playing hundreds of Doom levels, or or just or like a multiplayer game, because a multiplayer, it's this. Yes, it's the same game every time, but every time it's going to be different. You know, oh, well, this time, oh, they took the high ground and we had different tactics, or this time, oh, we had just an incredible luck and when pulled off an impossible jump, or this time, it's different every time, where it's just like same thing, same thing, same thing on speedrunning. So it's like, good God, you know. Okay. Ross, are you going to play through the Master Chief Collection when it's all released on PC? I don't know. I played through the first Halo and it didn't quite grab me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's so many games now that, like, see, that Master Chief Collection, it's competing against my list, you know? So there's a lot of games on that list I'd rather play than Halo. So I'm not sure I can explain. I guess what it is Halo is sci-fi, but I felt like it wasn't going like sci-fi enough for me. I guess what I mean in that is a lot of science fiction or science fantasy. Like Mass Effect can kind of be like this too. Like when you have humanoid aliens and they're shooting like weapons at you, like guns and just doing regular flanking stuff, this could just be guys in costumes. You know, this is where's the. I guess what I like about Halo from a sci-fi perspective, I like the Halo world because that's out there. You know, like okay, cool, that's neat. The Flood is kind of out there. You know, those aliens, like okay, this is weird, this is different, but geez, I even forgot the name of the main guys you're fighting, the purple guys, I guess. That's more like space opera stuff where it's not. But put it like this: you could substitute from Halo 1. Okay, obviously, I don't know everything that happens in the sequels. You could substitute them for humans pretty easily, and it'd be like almost identical. And it's just like, well, we're in space, so it's okay. So then I look at the story, and the story is just kind of, I don't know, boilerplate game sci-fi for me. Sorry if I'm upsetting Halo fans, but it didn't do much for me. So it's like when I play a sci-fi game, I'm looking at like different angles. Like, let's say the art direction is it just so over the top that I'm just overwhelmed by it? If yes, then sure, I'll play it even if I think the story's pretty typical. Is the story pretty incredible? Well, then okay, I might play it even if the sci-fi element isn't as strong or something. So it's a slider, but okay. If you want to see what's on my t-shirt, you should watch the beginning of the chat. So let's see. Ross, you said you're not a big fan of BioShock. What do you think of BioShock Infinite? I liked it better. Well, okay, I didn't play it through, and I ended up watching a playthrough. From what I saw, I liked it better than BioShock because they were trying to do something original for sure. It kind of felt it's a mix. I mean, and I haven't seen any of the DLC. I only saw like the base game. I mean, I feel like it's the sort of thing where it may not be as deep as they're trying to make it look. Well, first off, I love the setting. So hey, floating city, great. Well, hey, I like the setting of the original, but it was just copying System. It was copying System Shock 2 to such a degree that the setting wasn't and gameplay was enough to hold it up for me. But for Infinite, the setting was awesome. So I'd love to see more in that kind of setting. And the story, I felt like it's kind of I don't know what the word for this is. It's where I think it's trying to be deep, but really it just kind of feels like you're just throwing up a bunch of random. It's more like you took notes from a brainstorming session and just threw them all out there and like, okay, well now we have a story, whatever. Like that's kind of what it felt like to me. Let's just slap this all together and not worry about it, which it works, but I don't know. The gameplay seemed like it was getting kind of dumbed down some more, though. I'm not sure. Okay. What kind of builds do you gravitate towards in RPGs? Really kind of depends on the game. I mean, because every RPG has its own sorts of rules. And especially once you get the older ones or maybe some indie ones, some are fantastically more powerful than others. Well, like, let's see. Well, in Fallout, I played through that. Yeah, I went with a gun build because I'm thinking, there are people who can shoot at me. Do I really want to do melee? Whereas if it's like a fantasy thing, I don't know. I like having just the character that can just bash everything. That can be fun. Let's see. I guess I played Diablo. I did a mage and mostly sorcerer in Diablo 3. I like just being able to blast stuff. I think I tend to gravitate towards simpler builds in RPGs, whereas ones that, like, let's say like for the combat, I guess, ones where you're attacking the enemy, what requires less thought to it? You know, it's like I mentioned in Apocalyptica, you know, it's like, I don't really want to have to think too much in these kinds of games. Like, let's just go in there and attack. So I guess the kinds of builds I really tend to go away from are ones where you have to do a lot of combos. Like, oh, first cast this spell, and then prime this other spell with this, and then if you get your timing right, cast this one, now you're good. No, just go in there, beat him, okay, run. I like tactics. Tactics are good, where it's like, okay, no, we need to advance, oh, no, we need to take cover, or do a diversion there. So I enjoy tactics and strategy, but if it's just combo stuff and timing, I don't like that. Just go run in there and just attack. Or just blast them from a distance, or have your minions go in and just do everything. So I don't like having to have like as precise timing or complex fiddly stuff with the combat. So tactics I enjoy, but the more they try to complicate things for the combat, the more I tend to gravitate towards the simpler build, I guess. So, are you a commie? No, I politics are weird. So don't forget about the editor thing. I said yes in your private message. Yeah, look, I haven't forgotten. Look, this is what happened. Trackmania ended up swallowing up the time I meant to respond to other emails and things like that, and I really didn't. That wasn't supposed to happen. So that's why I gotta cool off on Game Dungeon until I can figure out something more, something more functional. Trackmania with fans. Well, maybe. I don't know. What's the maximum number of players? And I really like to have, okay, well, I really prefer to have free or extremely cheap games for fans. So I hate to think that like somebody's going to buy this game just to play it with me, and then I may only do that a couple times, but yeah, I'd absolutely probably would like to do that, especially if we could like run through a roster of different tracks. That might be fun. Because hey, man, the meat of that game is the custom tracks. So But man, Canyon doesn't look as nice now. I don't, man. Well, I guess we do a bunch of morning tracks for Canyon, maybe. Or, let's see. I've heard of SCP game, but or is it a game or no? There might be something. I've heard of it. I haven't looked into it at all. Somebody's asking how gaming on Linux project thing. It's not exactly gaming on Linux. It's bigger than that, and that's a video I'm going to try to get to. But hey, unfortunately, you'll hear about that. Okay, it's Freeman's mind's the priority for the moment. How is the fight against the mold? Good for now. However, I'm worried more about the winter because they burn so much coal here in the winter that the air quality is just horrendous. That, yeah, actually, that actually makes me want to play the Assassin's Creed Syndicate, because that takes place in Victorian London. So maybe I can kind of get more into the mood for that, because the air will be so polluted that. Get that. Ross, do you fear AI as Elon Musk does? No. I mean, I'm sure AI can make terrible. Well, watch my video, Ross Rants Robot Jobs. That covers it. AI is going to cause problems for sure, but I don't think it's the top of our. AI is just more of a tool, I think. I can think of dozens of things that I'd be more worried about than AI. So, but yeah, I think we shouldn't give AI control of nukes. I don't think so. Have you considered more silly quickfire videos such as Pigeon Hunter, the sequel to the amazing Halo video? Absolutely. I'd love to get a bunch more of those out. But it's like, these longer ones just end up swallowing up everything. That's why I gotta pace myself better. So yeah, Freeman's mind is my way out, because Freeman's mind, I can do that and still have time for other things, you know? And it's not so slow for YouTube that the audience is just like, what the hell, Ross? You know, again, I'm pretty sure I underestimated the work on Trackmania Canyon by 100 hours about. So it's 100 hours plus however long it took to make it, so. Or the remainder, you know. Yes, somebody's asking if I considered the Trackmania Stadium if they were androids controlling the car. Yeah, I thought about that, but I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of stretching it. It's kind of a stretch there, so I'll treat it as though there are people. But man, everything seems so consistent with like this. Oh man, somebody made. This is gonna get mentioned in the follow-up. Somebody made a fantastic point. It hadn't occurred to me. It should have. Man, I almost connected the dots, because one of the lines I scrapped was saying this is sort of like Portal. You know how they just there to run experiments, or we're just here to race cars. I almost connected the dots, but I didn't. In AI deep learning, that's exactly the sort of thing they do. They just tell the AI, okay, here's the destination, and you figure it out. You know, like Mario, okay? So it learns by learning that it gets farther if it jumps at this point, or ducks at this point. That's exactly what Trackmania fits for. Oh man, I can't believe I missed that. As soon as I said that, I was like, oh my God, he's right. That's perfect, because you just keep running those cars over and over again on the AI until it learns the absolute optimized way to do it, you know? And that seems like exactly the sort of thing Trackmania is optimized for, so. When people love your movie, will you make episode 2? The movie is the sort of thing that could handle a sequel. I mean, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nicely finished off, so it's not going to be like cliffhanger or anything. But I could make it. Could make a sequel. It could handle a sequel. I'll say that. Would Would you consider making shorter video? Yes, I would. I would. On indie mobile or time waster games. Yes, actually, I have one planned for Game Dungeon, but probably not going to happen this year. Uh, yeah, I've been wanting to get back to that. Look, I thought this was going to be a shorter game, and that would carve out more time for more medium videos, and then eventually get to. I never wanted Game Dungeon to just be like these long 40-minute plus videos. I mean, some of them should be like that, but yeah, I would like to have some shorter ones. So. How much randomness do you like in a game? That's too vague. That's too broad a question, man. It all depends on what it is. I mean, if it's like a story-based game, yeah, no, that's just way too broad. Because there's strengths and cons to having a lot and almost none. Depends on the game. Okay, Ross, in your videos, you seem to get on people's backs for making spelling mistakes, but in quarantine, you said you make mistakes too. How does this not make you a hypocrite? Why does the spelling matter so much when the meaning is understood? Okay, well, if you notice where I'm getting on people's backs for spelling mistakes, I'm talking about a printed manual for like a box copy of a game or like a shipped game. As in, like, you were supposed to like, you're supposed to like get it right out the door, and like you had one chance. Whereas, okay, well, I guess you may say I'm being a hypocrite. In my mind, there's a higher standard for putting a published game in a store. Like I'm thinking of Armed and Delirious. So I think they had some stuff wrong, or a game that just got published, because the game is an incredible undertaking, than getting just some YouTube video out that took a couple weeks and then just like, oh man, I missed that. Whereas like, I don't know, I guess I feel like when it's in print and like it's the manual, like the writing's there is the whole point. But I don't know, I don't usually attack people for spelling mistakes just in general. Do I? Or maybe I'm forgetting it. If so, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that's it. Like, if you look at the time it takes, I want to say even civil protection, which probably takes longer than any of the videos I've done. That's probably still like a tenth of what it takes to make like a major game. And that's the other thing. I'm largely, okay, I'm trying to incorporate more and more help, but some of my videos are totally one-man productions. I'm one guy. That was the other thing. I'm one guy. Whereas if you have a studio, you can have an editor looking this over maybe. Or if it's a smaller one, somebody should be like looking at the helm or the writer. See, that's the thing. The writer, now in small studios, maybe this isn't the case, but they're not necessarily also the sound editor, or the sound effects person, also the mapper, also the texture artist, also the assistant programming. So if it's like, if it's a one lone wolf production, then yeah, you get so worn down. But if you get something where no, your job is the writing, that's the part you're supposed to get right, then I think it's easier to knock people on. So. But yeah, if you still think I'm a hypocrite, I'll take it. The logic is there, but I think there are some variables that kind of, it's a different standard. So, do the changes to the Half-Life 2 levels significantly slow down the rate at which we get Freeman's Mind episodes? No, it's more the bugs actually, and just, it's mostly me working on other videos too. Sorry. Look, if I didn't make any other videos, I would have done the entire Half-Life series by now. But it's like, I don't know, I like making other stuff too. So they do not significantly slow it down. No, Toby's been a champ at that. Do you think you are on the spectrum? Yeah. What? Yeah, we got some color here, red on my lips. There's some red hue on the light scale. So, of course, I'm kind of behind the questions here. Ross, do you enjoy videos where sound is replaced Half-Life 1 sound effects? I don't know. I have limited time now, so I tend to follow like less sort of gimmicky videos unless they're just brilliant. Or games. Oh, do you enjoy videos? Yeah, okay. I think I answered the question properly. I used to be a creator, but I've had the equivalent of a writer's block for a few years now. Any ideas? Yes. Get yourself. Well, okay. Two things I've found that can help me. I found music can help a lot. Like I'll imagine scenario, like especially with soundtracks without words. I'll imagine scenarios this could fit, and it'll just come up. That's one thing. Some of soul protection could sort of be like that. But one is talking to lots of people. That can help because you'll get like different perspective or hear stories that can help, and that those might start trains of thoughts that give you your own ideas of things you might. Because one thing I'll hear people sometimes describe situations, and then like my imagination just almost automatically clicks on like, hey, you know what would be even more insane if like this happened? And then you realize, oh wait, I could actually have that in a video. And another is to just sort of, it's counterintuitive, like sort of like lock yourself off from stimuli. So it's like you're just in this room, and you can't leave until you get certain ideas. And if you don't get it that first session, try it again. You know, although I'd say it's better if you can have stimuli, but if you're really just completely having a block, it's like I said, locking yourself in a cell. You might be able to come up with something after all, or else if you don't, you might be more aware of what you need and then try to seek out ideas on that. So, is there a rejected list for the games list? Not really. See, the thing people are asking, oh, you should put that up if a game gets rejected for the game. Oh, I see, for games list. Or already processed. I thought he was talking about like bad games. Look, if it doesn't make it on the games list, it's probably already has like an overwhelmingly negative review already. But like on Steam, for games I've already processed, no, there hasn't been. But I'm not sure how to incorporate that too. But well, hey, if I have the almost list, that'll put a lot more on there. If there's ones that I still think I'm not seeing the innate value of it, then I might not. But yeah, for the almost list, I'll be able to put in a lot more, the ones that look promising. So. Oh, wow. Okay. This is a good comment. Yeah, it's getting long, but these are good comments. I recently started doing a Uni course. My C# teacher works for NeoCore Games on Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. A classmate asked him if he will show his son the game, but he said by that time the game won't be playable because it's always online. And when I asked why they won't just make it offline playable, he said they would take months of work for a game that no longer sells. Yeah. You know what? It wouldn't take months of work if his manager said this was like part of the design doc from the beginning. Like, okay, we need an offline mode also. Just support. It's like, whereas the farther you go down on this utter reliance on an online version, I didn't realize that was online only actually. Then yeah, it can take a lot of work to if you're just utterly reliant on that. That's why. See, this is why we kind of do need enforcement of this. We need to like kind of stop them from destroying everything. You know, I mean, well, not everything. I'm exaggerating, but it's like how much extra work would it to have a playable version of that game? Not even like everything they ended up adding, but just a playable version of that. If that had been in the design from the beginning, or you know, well, this I consider a dead end because of copyright law. But if that stuff was open source, people could go in and fix it. But I understand that's never going to happen with that because of the copyright morass. But okay, people are saying they like the videos. Thanks. I'll try to keep making good stuff. Someone is named Sausage Toes. Let's see. Ross, what is it you like about System Shock? Well, it's particularly System Shock 2. It really nailed the kind of sci-fi horror vibe, I thought. It's tense. The music's great. You had that kind of Deus Ex-ish kind of gameplay. I mean, with the mechanics and everything. You know, it's a real first-person shooter / RPG. I don't know. I really like the atmosphere of it, and I really like the atmosphere of it. I really like the gameplay, and I thought the story was good. So, I mean, that's true of a lot of games, but that particular flavor of it was right up my alley. So, yeah, somebody's saying Trackmania Nations is for free. I guess we can maybe do that, though. I don't like the look of Trackmania Nations as much as the Trackmania Squared stuff. Although, hey, they're sabotaging the Trackmania Squared, so maybe there's no win. Ross, are you a fan of the Coen brothers? I like several of their movies, yeah. They can be pretty funny. Somebody's saying they gifted Firewatch to me a while ago. I wonder if I got around to playing it. I'm sad to say, yes, I did, but I had to take a pass on that, man. Like, I was getting all this, like, look, the first 15 minutes of that game, it's like, let's just shovel on all this kind of sappy drama that's not what I wanted from the game. I was hoping to be, like, more mysterious. And, I mean, put it like this, I can believe it gets more mysterious later, but I have trouble believing like we just had the sappy drama as like a setup and then we don't return to it. I feel like it's just going to be punctuated throughout the whole game. That was the vibe I was getting. So it felt like a pass to me, man. So I'm afraid I didn't get far into it at all. It's just not my kind of, that's not what I'm looking for in games. Okay, I think this got answered on a separate thing. How do you feel about real-time with pause RPGs as opposed to turn-based combat? Again, I'm fine with that as long as those games are balanced for doing that. So as long as I can play on like an easier mode where can you play through the game and never have to pause? That's the question. If you can do that, even if it's on easy, fine. You know, because then easy becomes like sort of the new challenging because you're not pausing, you know. Yeah, that can be a best of both worlds. Like I think I kind of did that with Dragon Age, the first one. I have not played Killer 7. Favorite glitch encountered in a game? I'll eventually show you in a game dungeon. Okay, catching up, I think. No, not really. It's still 14 minutes behind. Okay, I'm just going to try and answer a few more. Somebody's saying he meant bouncing Bob's Bouncing Factory and Construction Bob Escapes from Hell. I'm not I lost the reference. I'm sorry. That's the downside of doing these is there's so much input that I can't process it all necessarily. Hey Ross, if somebody recorded the Twitch chat from these video chats, would you accept the footage of that? Oh, yeah, maybe. But then I have to take the time to implementing. I just got to learn how to implement this into the. I just got to see. I put it like this. I'd be happy to have that all completely processed, and then I'm trying to minimize the extra time I spend on this because I want that for the real videos. But yeah, I'll try to. Because then I have to edit that together, or somebody else would, and I have to wait on them and then coordinate that and then upload the different copies. And then the times to see, doing Game Dungeon and stuff has made me scared to death of little things that sound simple. That sounds like they shouldn't take that much time. It's just terrifying me of that now because I've seen what happens. So I'm trying to cut that out anywhere I can that's not like kind of necessary. But I'll try to. What might be more productive is to recommend like easiest way possible to set this up for like recording the chat so that's included in the videos. What's on top of the cupboard behind you? A bunch of extra computer boxes I use when moving, and I'll probably use them again when I move. Or computer parts boxes. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? I shouldn't be having these thoughts. I guess maybe like either cookie dough or mint chocolate. Those are probably, I haven't had ice cream in a long time, so I'm trying not to. But it would be one of those two. Can't speak Polish very well yet, no. When will you groom yourself to hella handsome for your girl? Well, at my wedding I did, and it was about as good as it gets the rest of the time. But she accepts me, but you know, she's an animal lover, so I guess it all works out. Let's see. Maybe a Game Dungeon for System Shock eventually, but that's not top of the list. I don't think I have a lot of insight in that one that other people haven't said. Any interest in playing Quake World Team Fortress with fans? Maybe, you know, I've never actually played the original Team Fortress. So are there any maps that are like especially fun, I guess, like by modern standards? I guess that'd be my main question. Okay, am I catching up? Okay, I think I caught up. Okay, so I'm going to, yeah, so I say mint chocolate is high tier. This is making me want food. All right, so I'm going to end this. Yeah, it's almost 3 hours. Jeez. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this down to like under 2 hours. People keep asking too many good questions. All right, that's it. And more Freeman's Mind coming and other things coming as I can do them. So, but Freeman's Mind's coming. Expect more Freeman's Mind. And yeah. See you later.